5 seconds remaining.
Fnatic's turn to ban.
Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Dire team ban.
Fnatic's turn to ban.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are here for the final series of the night, and it will be between Fnatic and Adroit in another best of 3. It is MLP Donor and John Expired. John, we're in for the last series of the night, so how are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. We had some pretty great series so far. This one is probably going to be the closest one yet. Fnatic up against Adroit, I believe, is probably the closest on paper, mainly because Fnatic is number 1. Adroit, I believe, is somewhere in number 2 so far with the results in this league. And it's going to be exciting to see these two teams finally go whether or not Adroit can give Fnatic their first loss, or whether or not Fnatic will keep trucking on undefeated so far in the Pro Series.
Pretty done, but of course Adroit, not a team to be underestimated. They were second in group, so it should be a, you know, we've been saying this a lot, but this should be a fairly close matchup between these two. Fnatic obviously looking to be the favorites, but we'll look at those odds once we get into the game. We will have to wait out a couple more bans for the next drafting phase start. However, I've got to say, John, the bans are quite different this time around. Magnus PA Necrophos coming out from Fnatic so far, going for the Timber Snapfire Earthshaker.
Yeah, it does look to be a lot more targeted towards how these two teams play. And I do like seeing that. That does mean, you know, there's a certain way both sides do like to play, which does seem a bit out of meta. I mean, you don't really see anyone going for the Magnus PA anymore. In fact, you don't really see anyone going for the PA for the most part anymore. I believe the Magnus has been there a couple of times, but not with a PA. And we have seen the PA once ourselves. That didn't end up. It's rather interesting for those out. Probably just here as Adroit can fall back to. You know, Adroit does like running aggressive lineups like that. Just taking those tools away should stabilize it. Of course, that does allow the more popular heroes to slip in. Could be seeing the Keeper of the Light making another appearance. That's just a really solid hero to have. Could see the Mars popping in for both sides. Just a lot of ways that line up with what we've seen so far, with the bans being so different.
5 seconds.
Well, let's hope these drafts are different as well. As the Bat Rider Oracle will be the final banouts from either side. Draft will officially begin as Fnatic will have first pick for themselves. How do we want to start this off? Because there's so many very popular heroes in the meta right now that are still available. Depending on whether you want to start with supports or cores, but Fnatic, you know, we talked about this earlier on in the day. With this kind of Chen pick, if the Chen's not banned, you just take it. It's just too damn good right now. Adroit, they will respond with the Keeper of the Light, and they'll go straight into the Ember Spirit.
Yeah, nothing out of the ordinary there for Adroit. We have seen so much of the Coddle, we've seen so much of the Ember Spirit when they're not banned out. Get a lot of value from these heroes, just a lot of things you can get done in lane. Really strong in the team fights as well. Fnatic with the Chen have a lot more flexibility with that hero. Of course, we can Ice play it on the offlane if he wants to. Fnatic has that flexibility with the Chen pickup, so looking forward to see what exactly they have in mind with that. Of course, they could just throw it as the standard support. That is a possibility for them as well. But it's just a super solid hero, right? That sustain it brings you is fantastic. Once you hit that level 6, just able to really heal up everyone, keep a fight going true and true. You've got great, a great army you could build up as well from the laning phase to really take those towers out. That all kind of plays in together quite nicely. The Alchemist pickup from Fnatic, a bit less common, but we have seen it, and it can get the work done. You give it enough space, it gets a bit too big. Don't have the control to deal with it. Of course, there are still some heroes here from Adroit that they can choose to really counteract that, and Spirit, they could just go into a Spirit Vessel to kind of mitigate some of that durability the Alchemist has in his ultimate.
I'm positive that's exactly what they're going to do as well. Spirit Vessel obviously being such a popular pick on Ember already in this current meta, and you got a Chen Alchemist. It seems very, very obvious to just take that if you are the Ember. Adroit, however, they're going to have a bit more than that to really deal with this Alchemist Chen lineup. It's going to be very hard already just with this opening duo, and what else can they grab? Like, if they wanted to, they could go down the safe lane Bristleback route, which we have seen earlier on, and that may be able to put a pace on the Alchemist that they can't keep up with. It hasn't been banned, and you have a Coddle. It just seems to make sense if Adroit did want to go down that route. Not to mention, John, it does deal decently with the Chen creep.
Definitely does. That is something they could look to. They do go with the Shadow Demon first, just to give themselves that great laning presence. A lot more of disruptive here, of course, with the disruption that you can kind of pop onto that Alk. Gives you great control for the Alk as well. So you have a lot of ways of dealing with that here already. I like the response from Fnatic though. The Nyx Assassin is going to make it a bit harder for the Ember Spirit to slip in and out here. Doesn't take too much for the Nyx to come online as well. And can certainly put a dent in the spam that the Shadow Demon would want to get out. So a lot of value from that Nyx already. I think it's a perfect fit here. Adroit do go with the Monkey King, so they have some flexibility with where to lane the Ember and Monkey. Either one can go to mid or safe. It's a rather interesting pick into the Nyx. I think the Nyx can throw the combination of that Monkey King off as well. Cautious about where you throw your spells out, because the Nyx can punish you for that.
Lane the Monkey against the Alk, right? Like, just having that Jingu Master makes it really hard for the Alchemist to feel comfortable to actually go in for those last hits. And I imagine Adroit will just make sure this Monkey King is following Alchemist across the map, just ensuring they are forced to lane together. That's my guess anyway.
Just taking away that farming potential of the Alk would be pretty big. I think that's a massive commitment though. Like, the moment you start moving lanes, all your other heroes will suffer as well. Everyone's going to be suffering for whether or not Adroit is going to do that. Another thing, but we have seen a lot of teams playing around that. Constant lane switching, trying to get that ideal matchup. It wouldn't be too surprising for Adroit to commit that hard to it. Certainly give them an edge. Really don't want the Alk to get big. We have seen what happens when he does get a good timing, gets fast Radiance up, starts to build up for his team. Can be a bit silly to deal with, but Fnatic do go with the Storm themselves, and this can be an issue for Adroit. They don't have the best of lockdown for that Storm. They've got the chains, I suppose, from the Ember Spirit. They've got the disruption from the Shadow Demon, and you know, the stun from the Monkey King, but none of those will instantaneous enough for the Storm unless you catch him outside. Particularly the Monkey stun. It's probably your best bet from out of vision. That is probably one of the things that Fnatic has going for them, that the Storm can kind of zip in and out without being punished too hard.
10 seconds remaining.
Fnatic do have one more ban remaining. Adroit, they did end up getting rid of the Darkseer as their final ban out. I kind of wonder what you're really worried about here if you are Fnatic, right? Like, I guess you don't want any more forms of catch here for the Storm Spirit. There are plenty of heroes that can kind of do that, though. Do already have the Ember with the chains, but that's not really the most reliable source of lockdown for the Storm. Fnatic, not much time left. They have 13 seconds to reserve time, and they do actually get rid of the Slardar now. Not a hero we see so often anymore, but it does pop up here and there. And now I'm kind of sitting there. I'm about to ask how they finish this draft off, but I'm also kind of wondering how they're going to lane this these heroes. Like, where is this Alchemist going? Is it going to be just your safe lane Alchemist, the mid-storm? Are they doing something funny with the Alchemist?
It's got to be the safe lane Alch in this case. Storm Spirit definitely needs lane. Wants that solo EXP, solo farm. Try to get a fast level 6. Dip into the jungle if necessary as well. They do go to the NP last pick, so I believe you're really going to see that Alch in the safe lane. You still have some flexibility with whether or not the Chen or the NP is going to be played by Ice. I might go for the NP. I've seen Fnatic throw him into that here a couple of times. It is highly disruptive with that here, tossing him in there. So you already have a pretty solid lineup from Fnatic. I think they should be able to get a decent timing here.
5 seconds remaining.
Key thing is to ensure their Alchemist is not going to be shut out in lane. You're going to have to invest in the resources to get that done. And that can, especially if you're laning against the Shadow Demon, can you with that early damage if you're not careful. The Alchemist is not particularly tanky early on. Not until he hits level 6, that's when he can.
Adroit, final pick. They do end up picking up the Bristleback, and you know, I gotta say, this draft from Adroit does look very powerful. You've got 3 cores that really don't need too much farm to be very, very effective. They're also very lane dominant. Like, none of these cores on the side of Adroit really lose lanes. Although Fnatic's draft, as we know, like, it's all about 23 Savage, right? If he gets the farm on the Arc fast, you know, you just need a bit of follow-up from Moon and Ice, but overall, the Alchemist is going to carry you through the game. But Adroit with these pickups, I think they've drafted very well to try and counteract this Alchemist draft.
It really does target that hero quite nicely. As I mentioned, it doesn't take too much farm for them to come online. They will really have to keep an eye on Savage. Even after the laning phase, they're going to have to ward up that jungle. We have seen teams make that mistake where, alright, we won the laning phase, the Alchemist is kind of slowed down, but they leave him alone in the jungle. Hitting objectives, and the Alchemist comes out of the jungle fully farmed up with a Radiance, with anything else he needs, style, maybe whatever else, just wrecks face. So you have to ensure Adroit keeps that pace up, keeps the map shut down with this kind of lineup, and just dominate completely past the 15-minute mark. Like, just keep wards up in the jungle, ensure Savage has no safe farm, and if Savage has no safe space to farm, then Moon's going to be copying a hard time as well, because the Storm Spirit needs an equal amount of investment early on.
Absolutely. We will get into game number 1 of this best of 3 between Adroit and Fnatic. Again, Fnatic are yet to drop a series. Fantastic throughout the BTS Pro Series. Look at some quick betting odds, John. Very important. Now. Adroit, I wonder if they are going to be able to control up this out. It does seem a lot harder than it looks, right? Like, it's... You think the Alchemist wouldn't be too hard to control with this Monkey King BB kind of in the side lanes, but it's always about the jungle stacks. Like, once you get enough stacks up, he just gains a few K worth of net worth in the jungle, you know, within 30 seconds, and suddenly he's come back out completely refreshed. Really, it's like nothing ever happened in the lane.
Yeah, he recovers quite nicely thanks to, of course, the Grievel's Greed. So you're going to have to keep an eye out for that, but it's going to be a tall order to really keep track of that jungle. You've got Jabs, who's probably just going to constant watch there anyway while getting his rotations in for these early stacks. And the Chen just kind of guarantees you're always going to have that jungling presence anyway. So Adroit has a lot of work left on their plate. They're going to have to ensure that they take all of that space away. Conversely, Fnatic, once they fall behind, they're really starting to share farm when there's no space. I mean, even the NP Ice will need some farm to come online. Of course, Moon on the Storm. We know the Storm Spirit requires some early investment. In stark contrast of Adroit's own draft, which is pretty selfless. I'd say Bok is probably the one who needs the most. Even the Ember Spirit doesn't take too much, and the Monkey doesn't take too much, but Bok will probably need 2 tank items to really stand in front. Shouldn't be too hard to get done on a Bristleback. There's nothing really here to punish him too hard for this pick.
Yeah, I mean, Ice on the Prophet's going to be up against him in the safe lane. We are indeed going to see the safe lane Alchemist across, and he'll be up against Natsumi on that Monkey King. So, I mean, that prediction was correct, right? You definitely want to ensure the Monkey isn't up against Savage. on this arc, and you do have jabs there, at least on the Chen, to try and maintain this creep equilibrium. But as I say that, they have to farm underneath their own T1. The wave pushes out, and now Natsumi's in control.
And it is a challenging lane. I think by the time you hit level 3 on the Alk, at the very least, you can kind of shove out Natsumi with a threat of some acid spray and some raw right-click damage. Monkey King does not have the best starting arm in the world. That is something you can definitely punish as the Alchemist with the acid spray.
So far, Savage is having a perfectly fine time, 7-1 on the up. Natsumi just jumping around on his stick, on his pogo stick. Savage not really too affected on the arc at the moment. Have a quick look at the mid lane, Mac, on the Ember. They're up against Moon on the Storm Spirit. Both are trading fairly evenly. Moon finding himself slightly ahead by one last hit at the moment, but Mac is starting to dish out quite a lot of harassment with that Flame Guard. Moon does just have some tangos to eat up anyway. He'll be okay. Now this lane, I mean, it generally trades pretty evenly up until you hit 6, right? Like, it kind of goes either way depending on who outplays the other. Doesn't really seem to favor one or the other too much.
No, definitely not. It's something that draw even if both players are equally skilled and play conservatively enough. It is a fun matchup to watch. I mean, you don't tend to see both of these heroes picked at once because you do usually see one of the ban outs going to either of the brothers. Still, Moon playing pretty darn good, applying that pressure. Mac does have to charge up. He's not in any serious trouble.
A bit rough for Mac though, like that Flame Guard just getting burnt through so quick. Moon just needs to really land one static storm, and Boomy bot lane actually ends up finding first blood onto Jabs. Jabs not gonna really enjoy that, but at the very least for them, it wasn't really the Alchemist going down. It does make it so Savage can't really get close to the creep wave until that Chen is back. So it is quite important for Jabs to stay alive.
He's a key part of what keeps Savage in this lane. If Jabs is gone, then Savage just can't trade those hits. He runs very high risk of copying way too much damage from Natsumi. Could get the Jingu Mastery off, get the Boundless Strike on, of course, get the sole focus of Boomy's Shadow Poison spam and the Disruption. So a lot here that can go wrong for Fnatic if they leave their Alk alone. So Jab's gonna have to really watch his spacing and watch his trading, something like the Shadow Demon.
Savage sitting at 19-1, definitely not being slowed down too much. So it looks like Mac trying to go after a Haste Rune, but great awareness there from Ice. He will just teleport in and help out his own mid-storm. Would have been pretty big had he found that Haste Rune, but I mean, both Spirits is just sitting there with an empty bottle right now, and it looks like they're just going to have to sustain themselves up until the Bounty Rune mark.
It's unfortunate, but it's a really good awareness coming out from Ice, and that's something the NP, just a lot more control over the runes. I do like seeing this from Ice, but then again, he's one of those players that really does play active early on, isn't afraid to just dip out of his lane and just get something done.
Jabs, bot lane has been caught out again on the Chen, and he will get Boundless Strike to death. And again, Chen is gone, Savage sits back, he can't, maybe he can, but as soon as he does, he gets hit by a huge stick from Natsumi. Whack, whack, whack. I have to wait for Jabs to TP back into the lane.
He's doing fairly well for himself, Savage. 25-1 compared to Monkey King's. Still finding that farm. I mean, sure, you're losing your Chen a lot. That's probably the game plan of Fnatic. Just drop your Chen, sacrifice your Chen every single time. Let Savage farm up safe. Don't have him dropping. And if you get that done, it really doesn't matter that Jabs is dying. Like, he's still finding levels as the Chen. He's still about to hit level 4 anyway. Has some decent progression in EXP. He's still going to be a major factor as the game escalates.
Well, on the other side of the map, John, the one lane we haven't looked at too much, the Bok Bristleback has also been freely farming. Currently sitting at 38 and 10. Looks like he is probably going to go into the Vanguard straight away after that Soul Ring being picked up, and he's going to the phase boots after that. Ice understands it seems that he can't really slow down the Bristleback too much. Just try to accept that fact, and I guess that's why he was playing so actively early on, because you just know you're not going to slow the Bristleback down. Like, there's no way an NP does it by himself.
They're really not investing any resources to stop Bok. Stand at. Just need to get their own hero big. Really can't contest the Bristle early on. They're just hoping that Bok won't be able to get as much done, and to be fair, if you ignore Bristleback, sometimes that is enough. If you're not actually hitting the Bristle, his mana pool early on is kind of limited, and as long as everyone else is kind of bigger on Fnatic's side, you can kind of afford to do that.
They will. Just ignore him. Bok will just go to the jungle, just keep farming up there. Of course, he can just flash farm with Quill Spray, but he is out of mana now. Looking over to the Ember Mac, falling quite low, but he's also kind of forced into his own jungle, as both the Spirit Brothers aren't even in mid lane anymore. They've just kind of left. And neither one really interested, as they do now have kill potential, and DJ will at least be the one on the side of Fnatic who takes over the mid lane as the Nyx Assassin. I think he will walk away as Mac will return back into the lane.
They're at the point where they can clear out those jungle stacks themselves. Just a bit of a safer farm for both sides. Not be under threat of any support rotations. Rather take that safe farm. Well, Moon is forced to walk back. Empty on mana, empty on the bottle. Gonna be TPing back in, and was going to find something else, although Savage is spotted out.
In big trouble, Boomy catches him out before he takes the big creeps, and now Mac will come in. Savage, he does have the chemical range, but he's taking a lot of damage. In fact, those remnants weren't enough. Meanwhile, while that was happening, Moon, he found Natsumi down at the bot lane. So the Monkey King gets taken out. The Alchemist does survive through all the ganking that was going on, and I believe that was his magic stick charges that really kept him up during those remnants. And in fact, now CML ends up going down. DJ the one to pick it up on the Nyx Assassin.
Tried to get the Ancient Creeps to deny him off while he was still pretty high in HP. Not quite enough. That did give enough steps to DJ for him to get the last right click off him. Still, I like seeing the movement coming out from Adroit. They do understand that they have to keep a lid on Savage. Doesn't quite pay off. I really need your Monkey King to be there as well to ensure that kill was caught out in the end. Rather unfortunate for Adroit, but this gives them some space to get a push going up top.
Yeah, it looks like Natsumi just kind of lets go of the bot lane. Just doesn't want to bother with that anymore. Group up top, trying to get the first tier 1 of the game. Moon is basically doing the same thing down at bot, but he's alone. The rest of Fnatic are starting to slowly rotate up towards that top lane, so we may see a defense attempt coming out. Though I highly doubt it, as Ice is going to get jumped on. Natsumi didn't quite connect with the Primal Spring. We have some Whirlwind Rippers starting to get those Cyclones or Tornadoes out. But the problem is Jabs has been caught out by Mac on the Ember, and that'll probably mean his life is gone. Natsumi will pick it up. In fact, it's Mac who confirms the kill, and Natsumi was there with the Boundless Strike.
Dire's middle tower is under
Managing to find a nice kill for their troubles. I believe they also managed this. No, they didn't at least find neutrals. They were microed away by Jabs, so prioritizing those neutrals more than his own life probably worked more than him, to be fair.
I would agree with you on that. Ice. A nice outpost still, just before that 10-minute mark, and he's always been that kind of player where if you're not watching, he will just take something away from you without you even realizing it, and now he's going to make a run for it. He should go down and does, but he bought out, and he denied the outpost XP from the Dire, and I'd say Fnatic are probably very okay with that.
Definitely. They need a lot of EXP on their supports. DJ is still trailing behind, doesn't quite have his level 6. Does get it now with the Tome, so is all set, has his Vendetta. Of course, Jabs has his ult up as well. The Hand of God is ready to go. And with that mech pickup and ice, it's going to be very hard to take a full fight here from Adroit. Just a lot of sustain coming out from Fnatic very early on.
Radiant's bottom tower
DJ
is under
gonna
attack.
have an attempt here as a block as Moon will also come in. They do stun up the Bristleback, and he really isn't as tanky as you would hope. Bok, can you get out of this? Not quite.
Radiant's bottom
Moon will be able to claim the kill over that Bristle. He did have the Hood of Defiance, but that's really the only defensive item he had, and it
Dire's top
just wasn't
tower
enough.
is under attack. Dire's structures
That's going to cost him a bit. Like, they really need the Bristle to be ready for the upcoming fights. He's doing fine for himself, right? He's 100 gold behind, 100 gold ahead of the Storm kind of shifting around there. Number 2 in net worth. My biggest issue for Adroit right now is that they were applying good pressure to Savage earlier on. They have let that slip. They haven't been watching that jungle. He is at 8k net worth.
Dire's
That's
top
problematic.
tower has fallen.
He does also have the full Radiance coming out, I believe. He just needs the recipe, and it's on the courier. We have a call in from a Chen, and he is going to get sent up top, but Ice does go down at the bot lane. But all these kills happening across the map, you can make the claim Ice, he's just more than happy to distract the side of Adroit and just keep them coming his way.
Definitely. It feels like Ice is just going around prolonging its life with a mech when he's trying to shove out a lane, buying time for his team to farm up elsewhere. With all of this happening, Moon has a free time. He's not contested. That's a Storm with no items. He's just free to farm down mid lane. Savage is free to farm in the entire jungle. He's playing in the Dire jungle now, and there's really no punishment coming out from Adroit. They're just trying to hunt heroes they can find. That just happens to be Ice every time, and he's not a priority for Fnatic's farm.
Classic bait play. Ice gets chained up now while trying to TP away. Matt won't really follow up though. I say that, he is starting to run forward, but I doubt he'll dive the T1 tower. Meanwhile, Moon ends up finding a kill onto Natsumi bot lane, and they are trying to chase down DJ on the Nyx Assassin, but CML gets caught out by Moon. Vortex gonna be there, Bok trying to help out Moon. He is out of mana. This could be a big kill, but no, DJ with a Spike Carapace, but the Impale, it won't connect. This may be the opening Bok needed, but Moon, he waits for the Ember. He remnants forward. The only problem was Boomy did end up getting the purge off before he did zip away. And now Ice will also end up going down once again. And that is actually going to be a pretty nice win for Adroit. Just a simple mistake. They're just not being able to get the ball lightning off quick enough. You can make the argument Boomy was just very quick to make sure he got his purge off.
Definitely was quick fingers on Boomy to get that done. But rather interesting, they actually throw Ice in to get the mech off to try to save Moon. It doesn't pay off, but you can see how much they're willing to sacrifice for these bigger cores, just really willing to sacrifice NP. Ice was going to be there either way. Whether or not the Storm lived with a mech use, he was going to die. And they're willing to make those sacrifices on Fnatic. Adroit do get away with a better trade, but that is more time for Fnatic to get farm on Savage, which they are getting done. Like, so Adroit is still getting good space, but Savage is just at 12k. That's more than 2 times ahead of anyone next to him.
He's going straight for a heart as well. Like, he's just going to have that heart up in a minute or two. He's already got the most expensive parts of it. He's just farming so efficiently on this Alchemist, and now they ping him out. They know, they see what he's got, but mid lane, there is a jump going on here. Fnatic find Mac on the Ember. That is a huge kill. You know, without Mac being available on the map, I don't really think you can kill the Alch. Savage, realizing his time's up in the Dire jungle, will start running towards his own triangle, and to be fair, bounty runes are up in 15 seconds. We all know how alchemists like to secure those.
Definitely loves him, and that should give him the gold for the heart. Like, he's the recipe away, 100 gold. I think the stack will give it. He does have it. He could just fly it out now. He has a heart Radiance 15 minutes in, with a phase boots and soul ring as well. It's been a fantastic time for free farming on this Alch.
This is not what Adroit wanted, but it seems like they got kind of baited into this. The Savage now willing to take a team fight, going straight onto bot, gets the full unstable concoction duration, and with that Impale, he has plenty of damage. The Bristleback does not take anything. Now Moon jumping in the back, going after Booming. They also found CML, who gets a blinding light, but it just doesn't matter. 3 going down, and there's the half being completed. That was after the team fight.
Oh boy. There is no solution just yet for Savage, but you are slowly building up from Mac. He is just a little bit away from that Spirit Vessel. Once that's up, of course, you have a way of mitigating that regen, but you're going to have to give this rush away to Fnatic. That means you're going to have to deal with an Aegis on one of these heroes anyway.
Even if you get the Spirit Vessel though, where's the follow-up damage going to be from? Like, Natsumi's only got an Echo Saber. He's kind of dealing with an okay amount of damage, but Moon, he just jumps on Boom, you know, clearing out another support. I don't even know if the Spirit Vessel's enough at this point. Like, it feels like it's nowhere near.
It's not quite enough. It's really not. There's just so much raw HP on Savage right now, and working towards an AC as well, right? By the time he has that up, you really just don't have enough damage to eat through. You don't have great magic damage anyway.
Why is he using the stun? Savage just stuns himself.
Just to be sure.
Oh, here they come. Mac jumps in.
Is under attack.
Chemical Rage is a problem. Mac, do you have the vessel? Yeah, you do. There's another stun coming out. Savage, he's starting to melt slowly but surely, and Bomb really starting to add up those cool sprays. They get another chainsaw. Meanwhile, Wukong's command going to be in the back. Jabs, he will be the target. Jabs just tanks the gank. Savage just walks away freely.
That's pretty massive committal from Adroit as well. At the, you know, they do find that kill, sacrifice the Wukong's command. That's not a very long cooldown. That's not a very short cooldown. It's at 130 seconds, so they're gonna have to wait for that to be up and running again before forcing a big fight. They do hold on to everything else, so they still have the Will-O-Wisp to play with afterwards. But you'd want that combination to be there. The Wisp, Wukong's command, not gonna have that combination, and Savage is not even out of that jungle.
Well, he's got Chemical Rage again. They use another Spirit Vessel charge. Matt, they're actually getting a lot of damage. Savage, I think you may have overextended this one. And alright, they do have the damage output. Fnatic may have just gotten a little bit cocky there with how tanky the Arc was. And that's going to slow down his progression quite a bit.
It's gonna speed up Adroit. That's a very good kill for them to take. Highest priority target on the map, the most net worth. Then some space to get a push going onto the tier 1. You are seeing Fnatic start to TP in some heroes to try to distract that creep wave. Ice just pulling all the way behind. They're not gonna have any creeps to tank through those tower hits.
See DJ in the back on the Nyx Assassin sitting at level 10 already and ready to try and set up another gank attempt for his team. There's some fast levels on DJ as well, man. You don't see a Nyx Assassin hit level 10 and this early on. And they're going to try and Savage again, but this time Fnatic are trying to use Savage as bait. Ice will make that obvious by taking the treants. Adroit, unless they're doing a 5v1 up against that Elk, it just doesn't seem like they're confident enough to make the play.
No, there's just way too much from Fnatic to keep him alive. If the mechs are purple as well from Ice, that's just not enough to burn him down now.
Sumi has Wukong's. Savage is going to just take the tier 2, although here they go. They jump onto Savage, but he again has that Chemical Rage to the ML. Going to go straight away. Now the Wukong's doing a fair bit onto Savage with that Spirit Vessel, but it's not going to be enough. In fact, Jabs controlling up with these Centaurs. They will be able to get Bothmel on the Bristleback. Buybacks flying out. And Adroit, they've got to be careful. They're going to have a few diebacks coming out if they keep going in like this.
Are scanning.
In fact, Savage is still chasing Boomy, who has no way out of this situation. And he just understands he's going to have to die alone in the woods. Moon will pick up a complete ultra kill.
He just finished up his Bloodstone as well, so he immediately gets 19 charges. Lots of value.
Very nice. That was indeed 2 diebacks as well, by the way. Both supports dying back throughout that. And so Fnatic can go for a tier 3 kill. And they will. And it's actually not going to take very long.
They've only got 1 charge in the Spirit Vessel left as well.
Oh, DJ. Spine Carib is set up now. The Unstable Concoction does connect the Ember. Also going to die back. It's not a dieback, he just doesn't have the gold for it. how do you stop this this top rack's going down now? There's just no way. Savage has a stun, throws it out, ignores the bristleback. Everyone just walks in and claims the racks. It's that easy.
Yeah, just like that. Adroit cannot defend. That tanky frontliner in the bristleback just... If you ignore him, he's not a factor. He just doesn't do enough at this point just yet. Managed to wait out the Aegis though. Moon would not have that tool, but you still lost your top racks basically, except for the range. You've lost a major set of objectives there, Adroit. The map has shrunk for them, and Savage is just dancing around the map. He has his AC up, so you can't really right-click him down.
He's going to be the chains out. Matt getting the Ember now. Another follow-up route with the Will-O-Wisp. They might find Moon, but he does have that Bloodstone active. He will be able to zip away just in the nick of time and survive this as Savage. Moving in on the Alchemist, but now he's in the middle of that Wukong's command. This is very dangerous. Disruption will be there. They'll get those Alchemist illusions, and Savage is now hurting himself quite a lot. If Fnatic want to take the team fight or not, it looks like they do not as they try to run out, but no, Savage, he wants to go back in now as Moon. Jumps straight onto CML. He just needed a reset. He'll get both supports. It'll be a double for Moon as now they're looking towards Mac on the Ember. Moon is not done with his fiery spirit as Mac is completely out of mana, but Moon now being chained up with his spirit vessel. He does zip out in time. DJ with the Spine Carapace will hold Mac down. That'll be it. Fnatic, they find 3 very nice kills. They lose their Chen, but I believe they will have some time to go after that mid-racks.
Yeah, again, there's not going to be any strong contention here from Adroit. In fact, they might lose Bok if they're not careful. Savage is going for it.
Get the stun off. Bok is facing forward, and well, the blinding light will save his day. Bok doesn't really have a choice. He needs to keep cutting forward and getting those cool spray stacks up. Like, if he backs out, how do you defend? Meanwhile, Moon, he's just farming creeps right now. He may need to help out his team a little bit, but he's just waiting for the perfect moment. Now Natsubi comes in. Both supports are starting to fall. So Boomy will get jumped by Moon straight away. Now Bok has to run back to the base, but Moon is not done. He will finish the job off, but he's been chained up, and Moon will end up losing his life. The buyback now comes out from Bok as he wants to try and help out while the storm is down, but Moon, he also buys back. They're just going to go up all again into a 5v5 engagement as Savage goes after the dieback on the bristle, but Moon, he wants those tasty supports. In fact, no, he gets the Ember. Savage is the one to pick it up with the Radiance. And Adroit are just throwing all their gold away, trying to defend this base, but no, the double spike Carapace, the huge Will-O-Wisp from CML, just holding them all back, but I don't think it's going to be quite enough as Savage moves forward again. Mac, he will avoid the stun thanks to the disruption of Boomy. But DJ, with just the constant stuns on the Nyx Assassin, he will go down in the end. And you know what? Adroit, they do successfully defend, only losing that tier 3 tower. In fact, they're going to go for more now. Savage, he doesn't have the chemical rage for another 20 seconds. He needs to buy time, or he needs his team to buy time, but he is falling way too fast. Jabs, can you keep him alive? There's the healer god coming out. Savage still falling quite low, and he does finally drop. And Adroit now need to capitalize as much as they possibly can. They'll jump onto Jazz, but Moon again in the back lines with that Bloodstone. He'll find CML. He's going after Boomy. He is surrounded, however. Can he get out? He can pour lightning. Do they have a TP cancellation? Natsumi, he can't get it in time. The Balance Strike just half a second too late. But what a team fight.
Definitely. Fnatic's still looking pretty darn good. Adroit is holding on to dear life here. They're 23 to 14, 25 minutes in, 25k behind. Fnatic 25 at 25. Net worth. That is a massive swing for Fnatic. Of course, majority of that is on Savage. At least 13k of that advantage is on Savage solely. So a lot of that is just on the out, but it's still a very significant lead here for Fnatic. All their heroes severely turned up.
He'll be alright, he'll manage to get out of there.
Oh,
nobody dies.
Adroit really just needs to get a little bit of a breathing space here. If they can find and isolate Savage continuously, they can certainly bounce back in. But Savage does have a BKB now. So your options of bursting down Savage are getting very limited here.
It's getting harder and harder. He's going for the Abyssal Blade next, and I think with the BKB alone, it may just be enough.
Oh, yeah.
Spirit Vessel is really the only thing keeping him in check. Savage, he'll bring out a basher for himself now. It looks like he's just gonna not waste, but just use another minute to finish off the Abyssal before he gets involved. In fact, never mind. They'll go after a Roshan instead.
That's gonna be a very easy pick.
Yeah, why
There's no
not?
contestation from Adroit. They have the spells. Don't get me wrong, they have great teamfight spells for that. The Will-O-Wisp, Kong's Command. But they are. It's just asking for trouble if they went for the contest. So have to give that away. Hope for the high ground fight to end up better for them, where they can shine if all of their spells land perfectly.
Well, now you've got an Aegis and Cheese available. The Storm, looking very, very hard to deal with. Moon has two ways of surviving now with that Aegis and Cheese, both placed on him. A Savage just doesn't have the space for an Aegis or a Cheese. He's just interested in finishing off that Abyssal Blade before they go high ground. And it looks like it's not going to take too much longer for him to have it. Adroit, what do you do here? Like, do you think they have what it takes to deal with the Alchemist? Because it does feel like a couple more times of taking this team down, and they may just be back into the game.
It's a lot. Like they've got to kill Savage so many times here. I don't think they just have it.
Mid lane, Disruption gonna save him. Unstable Concoction not gonna land. In fact, it's gonna stun up Savage, and now is that their opening? Not quite. The stun does wear off, and Savage, he runs in now. They have their own Spirit Vessel, and Bok is falling very, very low. Moon jumps in to get the job done, and you do not have buybacks available on the BB. Now Wukongs will come out for Savage. He pops the BKB. CML has dropped now. Natsumi tries to man fight, but Moon is just way too disruptive on that Storm. They're just taking everybody out, and I have a feeling that GG call may be coming very, very soon as Mac almost dies, but it doesn't matter. They're going after tier 4s, and the GG has been called. Fnatic taking a very, very convincing game number 1.
Definitely. On paper, this was supposed to be the most even game. Adroit number 2 in the rankings, Fnatic number 1. And Fnatic's showing us why they are in number 1. Adroit, they gave a good fight. They had some early solutions to Savage. They kind of left him alone too long. That
5 seconds remaining.
Fnatic's turn to ban.
Seconds remaining. Dire team ban.
Fnatic's turn to ban.
Seconds remaining. Dire team ban.
Fnatic's turn to ban.
Best of 3 series between Fnatic and Adroit. It is MLP Donor and John expired. John, game number 1, Fnatic, they took that rather convincingly. Did not look like it was whatsoever. Game number 2, I'd like to ask the side of Adroit need to do differently this time around.
I think they've got to get their priorities right. We saw that early on in game 1. They were hunting around jungle trying to suss out where Savage was on the Alchemist. They were trying to shut down his farm that jungle. They kind of left him alone afterwards, and it really depends on what Fnatic want to do, depending on what heroes they pick, but Adroit has got to find these priority targets, shut them down, and try to get equal farm distribution on their own. Like, they had Bok in a pretty free lane, like he was having a really good time up top. It wasn't quite enough. I think you want a hero, in this case, that does give you a lot of impact very early on. I don't think that was the Bristleback in that case. In the last game, it felt like it didn't have too much. It was there, it was in front, it did take some time to die, and it could secure some stuff for them early on, but it couldn't quite do enough. Fortunately for Adroit, Fnatic themselves banned out the L. They are in no way going to first pick that because they have challenged themselves to not pick it again.
Perhaps because they're not going to have the Chen available to them this time. Maybe they. Oh no!
My God!
Okay. All right. Here we go. Adroit will respond with an Enigma. Beautiful picks from Adroit. Clockwork as well. Fnatic, how dare you? How dare you bring this atrocity out for us to have to view?
I believe we had a request earlier on as well, somewhere in the lobby, where, you know, not requesting no techies because tired of 2R games. Fnatic, you're like, well, we're not going to listen to you. We don't need to listen. We get to play what we want, and techies comes out. Oh, this could... Funny enough, we were talking about techies way earlier on in the day. Excuse me. Techies... The only person who has fun when a techies is there is the techies player. So, Fnatic, if you end up being bored of this game, you have no one to blame but yourselves.
True. Very, very true. AUI 2000, the one to really have that statement being made by himself. Fnatic, they will follow up with an Ember Spirit, which is something that's much more, you know, I dare say normal? Is that the word to use here? Much more normal for Fnatic and for anybody else. You know, I believe, you know, you did mention Fnatic have chosen the techies before during the BTS Pro Series. I wasn't there to watch the game, however. I don't know what they're intending to do with this, John. Do you have any idea what the point of this pick is?
Well, one big factor is, of course, the psychological bit that it does get into. Another thing is, I believe that's going to be DJ's hero.
Okay.
I mean, they could make it Ice if he... Sounds like the kind of hero Ice would play, but his name they picked up, it was DJ playing it. We could see that coming out here. Just a very solid kind of position for... We all know what the techies does. It's disgusting at what it does. It's highly effective at being disgusting. It's revolting. But it can get that done. It can be a complete nuisance in the lane. and can really stall out the game. Now,
10
whether or not
seconds
you're going to be
remaining.
highly effective against Adroit's opening, which they jumped into quite confidently, the
5
Enigma
seconds
Clockwork,
remaining.
that's going to be really potent in team fights, really potent in the lane as well, and quite strong in the push. The Enigma just naturally pushes out quite nicely. Fnatic does have a decent response with the Ember Spirit. Once you have a Maelstrom up, you can kind of clear out those Eidolons quite fine, but the Clockwork will ensure that they can always kind of keep a number on where the Techies is planting mines if you just scout around the entire map, just tossing those flares out, or where the Ember is before a fight, scout them out that way. Is a bit of a response there from Adroit. They have a way of balancing out these picks from Fnatic.
You know, the thing is, John, every time we've seen an Enigma be picked up, usually there's a Rubik on the other side. With this position 4 techies, if we're going to continue to assume it is a pos 4, it doesn't really leave space for a Rubik unless you want to run a pos 5 Rubik
Turn to pick.
in the Fnatic lineup, which is possible. Is it not rather important to have that spell still up against this Enigma pick from Adroit? Because otherwise it feels like it's just a free black hole once you have the BKB up.
Yeah, that's definitely something that Fnatic should consider, but as you mentioned, the space to fit that Techies in is a bit tight. Of course, they do pick up the Pangolier next, so it does look like we are kind of locked in to the support Techies here. Which means, I mean, you could still go with a Rubik, just really shaft that Techies into a less farm role. I don't think it's going to shine there. Or give Jabs a Rubik. I believe he does play pretty solid Rubik, but DJ plays a really solid Rubik as well, so
10 seconds
really hard to say
remaining.
who gets what in that case. The one thing for
5
Adroit is
seconds
that
remaining.
Enigma doesn't tend to go for those black holes early on. So even if you do go for the Rubik, you're not going to be getting any black hole anytime soon because Enigma just doesn't black hole. They just focus on the Eidolons, focus on the Midnight Pulse, and the stun you can get from Malphus. And that's basically it for the most part. So it takes a while until you start to see that come out, but just having a Rubik on hand to ensure that kind of turnaround is a pretty nice thing to have. Adroit, they do go with the Nature's Prophet and the Riki, so they have really insane push now with the NP and the Enigma, great global presence with the Clock NP, and the Riki's just a massive nuisance to have to play against, right? So you have these ways now of taking the fight to Fnatic. You still worry about those summons being cleared out by the Ember Spirit.
10 seconds
Key timing is going to be that Maelstrom. Even a Pangolier can kind of deal with that quite fine. So
5
whether or not you're going to get
seconds
full
remaining.
value from those pushes is put up in the air.
I don't know what to say anymore. You know, it's hard to comment on drafts when there's a techies in the game. Because it feels like everything just kind of gets ruined. Everything you knew about Dota no longer exists. It's just a brand new game now. I don't know what to say. I mean, I like the picks from Adroit. I think they're fantastic. Does it matter? I don't know. Because there's a techies in the game. This isn't really a Dota 2 here. I don't know what it is. It's just there.
Well, on
like a
the
bug.
other hand, like Adroit, whether summons can mind clear quite nicely.
Right.
The proximity mines aren't going to be living for long. So there it is. That's Adroit's game plan. Toss those summons away on the techies. You don't need to worry about proximity mines when your summons will die for you.
Fair enough. That is actually that's a fair strategy going into this. Fnatic, what do you follow up with? This fourth pickup now, we're still waiting for another support pick unless they're planning to run a support Pangolier, which is highly doubtful with the techies.
Dire team
Fnatic,
ban.
let the reserve time tick out quite far, and they're going to go for the Bristleback. So there's some nice wave clear with that Bristle, and you know, Bristle doesn't really take long to get online. We did see it in game 1, however, being played, I believe it was Bok, and he got free farm. It just didn't mean anything, but to be, you know, in all fairness, that was up against an Alchemist, and I guess that's a little bit different.
Fanatics turn to ban.
So, Adroit, they do ban out the Keeper of the Light. They don't want to give that away. That would be too free of a game for Fnatic if that did happen. What do you follow up here?
The big part of... Well, the big factor for that Bristleback for Fnatic is you take away the potency of the Riki. He wants the backstab, but Bristleback loves getting his back punished, so you're not going to be seeing that action work out too well for Adroit's core. I can see the logic because they have excellent wave clear already. Ember Spirit Pangolier, they clear faster than the Bristleback would. This is really much more of a targeted pick towards the Riki, just mitigating the damage he can.
Well, Fnatic, they have one final pick. We still have no idea how these lanes are being run. Still very, very open for Fnatic. You know, I don't want to say they look like weak lanes, but they do kind of look a bit weakish. Do they really just finish off with a POS 5 pick? Is that what we're doing?
I think they have to. There's I mean, they could go something funky. Pangolier support? Do that? I don't want that. They could go with the Ember Spirit support. I've heard mumblings about that. I really do not want to witness, honestly. They go with the Bounty Hunter. All right,
so we still don't know what's going on. I mean, who's the POS 5?
No one and everyone is the POS 5, and I think when you have all of these heroes that require so much farm, right? Like Techies is going to want to accelerate his farm. Ember Spirit, Pangolier, Bristleback, all want farm. Bounty Hunter says, don't farm creeps, farm heroes. Here, I'm going to mark them for you.
10 seconds.
And it gives you a good way of tracking that Riki as well. So I like that last pick. This is a great pickup from Adroit, though. The Storm Spirit comes out. There is nothing from Fnatic to keep him in place. They're going to have to get DJ on top with a Suicide for the silence, or get that stasis trap on, or always land those chains, but I can see Mac just zipping in and out. No problems in this game.
What is this game? A position 5 Pangolier is the pickup here for Jabs. Look, I've seen position 4 Pangos, no problem. A position 5? That's
very low on the totem pole. And with how Techies is, you know, with how Techies is, that's more than likely going to feel like position 6.
True. So, I mean, you do, with Techies, if you plan to kind of use it effectively, you do want to get a very quick Aghanim Scepter, because that's when he becomes very strong. Not that I played Techies, John. I played a couple times, about, you know, maybe 6-7 years ago, when I was a very sick person back then.
I only played like Dota 1 Techies, yeah. All the way back. Those were fun days. Like, no one knew what was happening. People rage quit from Garena. It would suck if the host rage quit. Like, you would really be done.
Well, at least you could quit, John. There was no punishment back then. If a Techie's John, it was like, forget about it. I'm out of this game. Nobody would even blame me for leaving.
Oh man. Gonna be interesting to see Adroit play this one. Like, it's gonna be fairly straightforward for them. Right? Their strategy isn't too wild. It's not revolutionary, mind-bending, and paradigm shifting. This is a straightforward draft from Adroit. They've got great push potential. They've got the summons to deal with those proximity mines. Just toss those sacrificial minions into the mines. Have them die instead. Have them deal with the afterlife that DJ. But on the other hand, Fnatic, you know, we talked about all their heroes needing farm. You have to remember, Techies can infinitely delay the game. Like, he can just have everyone get the farm up by just never having the game end. So I don't think farming's even going to be a major issue. He just needs the XP.
Well, that's great to hear, John. I've got homemade lasagna and homemade pizza waiting for me for dinner. Now we've got a Techies in the game, which it's just fantastic. I don't want to eat anyway. Fine, I'll just starve here watching this very entertaining hero that is Techies. Fnatic gonna take the outpost and CML. It gets slapped by Ice. DJ does have the blast off available. Always going to be a little bit careful about where the Techies is, as DJ already looking for that opportunity.
The battle begins.
CML going to lose quite a bit of his HP just to Ice. That'll be enough of that. Fnatic, they back off, they take their bounties. It'll be a 2-for-2 trade. And now the more interesting start begins with is how you lane this draft. It is going to be a bounty hunter Techies off lane. Well,
that sounds fantastic. Absolutely game-breaking combination from Fnatic. Never seen that done before. Of course, DJ has his work cut out for him. At the, you know, Ice does have ways of just what?
Yeah, okay. All right, that was a bit of an early blast off DJ. I'm not sure about that one, and he's probably gonna die. He eats a fairy fire, and he's dead. Okay, he is dead.
Was he trying to land a long-range shot onto Natsumi?
I don't know. I thought at first maybe he was trying to force the creep wave in and eventually would push back out thanks to the tier 1 tower. The problem is you have CML there with the trees, so he can't just go all the way. He's doing it again! And he connects on both, to be fair. It's a lot of damage. You know what, John? Let's have a quick look at the other lanes, because this lane's going to be a bit crazy. You can already tell as Mac and Moon are going to be in the mid lane on the Storm Ember. Bit of a repeat matchup in the mid and just the other way around. And of course, bot lane, you'll see Boomy there on the Enigma. He'll be jungling for a bit as Jabs will just be following him down as the Pangolier. And Bok will be on the off lane Clockwork up against 23 Savage, who will be playing that position 1 Bristleback. But don't worry about those lanes. We're back to the top lane. What is DJ up to? He's stacking. Good support.
He doesn't really have presence beyond just blasting off. And there's really not too much kill potential. I mean, you have level 2 on ice now. So with the Shuriken toss, you could probably clean up, but I think they're going to be waiting for level 3 to get the damage out. Oh, there you go.
Gets Shuriken toss. Nice body blocks for a second from DJ. That's it. That'll be it for another 35 seconds. I'm off. Back to the jungle for me. Well, actually, he's level 2 now, so he can get some mines down. And looks like he'll actually stick around in the laning phase. CML gonna continue to spam out those treants, just preemptively getting ready for those mines to be dropped. Meanwhile, mid, Jabs a huge courier snipe, taking out the Storm Spirit courier, and that actually had the bottle on it, so that is a pretty big deal for this mid lane.
It's not going to be easy for Mac to sustain himself up against Moon. He's a full level behind. He's just about hit for himself, but his mana pool is completely drained out. Doesn't have any reach now. Moon is going to be entirely happy with how that rotation from Jabs does pay off.
Oh, Savage. Going down solo to Bok. Jabs, he tried to come in and help at the last seconds, but that level 2 battery assault, it does a lot of damage. With only 1 level in Bristleback, there's not really much you can do to avoid it from Bok.
Definitely. It's not the easiest lane for the Bristle. Like, he can kind of do damage to Clock, but at the same time, the Clock can do the exact same thing. Clockwork is fairly tanky as a hero. He has a pretty nice high HP. It's not the easiest guy to bully out, especially when he has a magic stick in. At the least, you know, Savage is going to be back in reset. He has the Soul Ring up, but you really don't want to be dying solo like that Clock.
Bok's already hit that level 5 mark now as well. He's getting a lot of levels. And with the Clockwork, when you get a lot of levels going, he becomes a real problem. He's currently out-leveling Savage. See what Bok does with all that experience. It's not quite the same deal with Ice. He's only sitting at level 3 on the Bounty Hunter. It's kind of to be expected, as he can't really get close to really soak XP or get any farm when CML is there with the Nature's Prophet. We'll always just harass him out with the treants. Well, wouldn't you know it, John? DJ has rejoined the lane. Has blast off, though it doesn't have the mana. Does pop a mine down. Doesn't really do anything as the treants are just playing around with the mine. Does get a creep for himself, which is always nice.
I mean, DJ is basically just stacking up for himself. He's been clearing the camps himself with his mines, so he's finding some good farm. I think the key thing here for Fnatic is to ride through this really rough early game. The only lane they're really winning out on is mid, and even then Mac is just super active, finding some kills onto Jabs already.
Well, Mac, he'll find a solo kill onto Jabs. That'll make it a 0-3. Adroit finding the kill lead for now. A lot of questionable plays, I'm not going to lie about that. But Pango just way out of position, trying to chase down the Enigma and just force Boomy not to be able to freely farm. Boomy is getting relatively close though to the hood of the Now I forgot the name of the item. The Helm of the Dominator is what I was looking for. He's very close to the Helm of the Dom. Once you get that up, Boom, you can start making a couple rotations with this Enigma and start trying to make plays across the map if he's so...
Savage. Trouble.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Yes, he is, Bot. Again, level 3 battery assault now, and it's just, you know, the bristleback just doesn't do that much when you're getting battery assaulted like that, and Bot will give him the tip.
Radiant's top tower is
Look, their lanes are really weak here from Fnatic. Adroit is exploiting that quite well. They are winning out on the side lanes. Their mid lane has gone a bit rough, but they have found a couple of kills for themselves. If they can keep that pace, then it's going to Fnatic play catch up, although DJ just TP's out in front of them.
Well, they haven't really got any stuns up at the top lane. It's not too hard to just TP out. Adroit. I guess they just keep farming. Natsumi, he's having a borderline free time. 40 and 10 on the Ricky. Hasn't died once yet.
Radiant are scanning.
Has obviously had a bit of gold being stolen from Ice with that Janata strike, but not too much. Regardless of the kills happening on Savage, he's sitting at the top of the net worth board by about 3k. Stacking for himself now as well in the jungle, and of course he can clear those up quite quickly with all the quill sprays coming out.
This does give some space to Jab. Yeah, give some space to Jabs to get his farm up, get his EXP. He was stuck at level 1 for a long time. With the space he has now, he is at level 2. Doesn't want to really force the issue against a level 7 clock, though. Bit of a risk there for our level 2 Peng.
Radiant's top tower.
I guess he can always just swashbuckle away. That's probably why he can just soak XP, try to control the creeps, though. Bok, he's moving forward and does have hook shot. Bok is also having a rotation come in from CML, so they are going to go for the time, just waiting for Jabs to commit the hook.
Oh no.
Oh, that was a dream block on the hook shot, and now they look to turn this around. Jabs, he is fairly low, but with Moon around on the Ember and a double damage rune active, CML is certainly going down. At least they do end up getting the clockwork out of there. Bok will successfully TP out in time. That is an unsuccessful gank and an unsuccessful first hook shot of the game. So, Savage gonna get jumped up by Matt. Midnight Pulse gonna come in and they will be able to secure another Pos 1 kill on that Bristle.
Gonna be very happy with that Adroit. And to, in the end, find the kill they wanted. Take out Savage and is not really having as much of a free time. I mean, he's died 3 times, but he is still number 2 in that bird. Kind of sharing that space with his Ember Spirit Moon. Although this will allow Adroit to come in and start their own push. They have a lot of summons from Boomy. Does have the black hole as well if needed, but looks like they will just cleanly take this tier 1 down bot, giving us the first tower of the game.
Alright, well there it is. First tower gone. Ice can't really return the favor on the bounty hunter. He's a bounty hunter after all, so he's just gonna continue to try and keep the creep wave pushed out. In fact, he's helping DJ farm up now, dragging it back into the neutrals, and kind of makes you laugh how DJ's getting a bit of farm priority in this top lane. Like, sure, Ice is still able to secure the big creeps, but DJ, just with those mines, is still taking quite a lot himself. And you know, Adroit is just gonna kind of ignore them. And they'll continue to just push out towers, like Max, he forces the mid wave in. And in fact, never mind, they're done with ignoring them. Bok, he's making his way up. They see the stacks, they look to take him, and Max will say thank you very much. It's a fair bit of gold just going to the way of the storm and the clock.
Just a lot of farm bleeding away here from Fnatic. Adroit finally playing that jungle. Like seeing that. It is a major issue they had in game 1 where they weren't We're going to be slowing down Fnatic just a touch as they also go for the wins.
Nice hook shot out. Bok going towards that neutral camp and just ensuring they can't get any free kills. That's fair enough. Still buys a bit of time for Jabs on that Pos 5 Pango to just keep freely farming up the bot lane. And Fnatic, they still have their hands full up at this top lane, trying to force it out, and they do finally get the tier 1. And now perhaps they try to make a play on the Moon. We do have Boomy rotating in, and there's the Vortex. Black Hole will also be committed, and no one's around to cancel that off. That'll mean Moon does end up going down, and the kill will go to the Mac on the Storm Spirit.
Really good pickup going the way of it.
They're going to rotate in. They want to fight this without the Black Hole, but this is still a very hard team fight to take, considering you don't really have much team fight though. Jams, he does have Rolling Thunder. Now the Blast Off does connect, and they are at least going to find CML here on the Prophet. They will take him. Now these tracks flying out as Bok does get DJ on the techies. They'd love to find his Clockwork, but he is a rather tanky target. In fact, Ice. Going to get jumped on by Mac. They'll take down another. And Savage just can't do anything.
Just not enough coming out of the so in fact, they might find Bok in exchange.
Hookshot is out. Bok is still very tanky. He has a very high
nice
armor.
blocks.
And yeah, the Helm of the Dominator creep just blocking away, so Bok does walk out safely. Oh boy. A 2-8 now, 1k net worth lead for Adroit, and Fnatic, they are still grouping mid once again.
Want to keep going. I think they really need that tier 1 to give themselves some more control. They are playing heavily in the jungle. Just want to take this access point away from Adroit. Give themselves a bit of an easy time here.
Sure, but it's really not that easy.
It's not a fast push.
No.
It's a very slow push.
Dire structures are fortified. Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Rolling Thunder, gonna be popped. Who are they going for? They might have to just settle on Bok, though no, they will avoid Bok at all costs as well as Mac. So Rolling Thunder's down. Perhaps if you're Adroit, you want to take a team fight. A look shot, Bok gets a nice concept as well. That'll secure Ice.
Radiant's bottom
Fnatic, I mean, they get some decent damage onto that tier 1 hit, but they are throwing bodies for this, and it'll only really increase the net worth that Adroit has.
Definitely. They've again put themselves a 2-9, 1k lead for Adroit. Not the biggest lead, mind you, but it is still a fairly good start for Adroit on the Dire side. Really gonna need to build up on their Ricky as this game goes on. A lot of their farm is on their Storm, which is great. He already has his Kaya up, Mac working towards his Soul Booster first, and then looks like he might transition Orchid next. Gonna have a little bit more tankiness and a lot more utility as the game goes on. Gonna need that space to farm up, but the rest of the team has been doing a fantastic job in getting that space for its Storms.
Fnatic now smoke up, Jabs and Moon. Gonna make their way through that Dire jungle, get Rolling Thunder. Being cancelled off, Jabs still thinking about it. They do have vision with that Observer Water Vortex. Mid lane, Savage going to be the target as they do start fighting in the Dire jungle, but Bok gets a very nice cogs off. Now the Rolling Thunder does come out, but the hook shot dodge. Bok will just get away from them as Savage is dying alone in the mid lane. And Fnatic will find nothing with their Pos 1 dying like that. In fact, Adroit may still keep going. Can they? They can. It's a 4v5 situation. A Zip, DJ does get hurt by that. In fact, Jabs is the main priority target on the Pango. Now they may settle for Moon, and Black Hole will come out, catching two of the Boomy. He will set up for Ice and DJ, and Adroit. Another successful team fight. It extends their net worth lead to 3k. You know, I can't really say I'm impressed by this, John. The draft from Fnatic is just so weird. How do you take a team fight with this draft?
You really don't. Savage is not at the point where he can stand in the middle, do the damage, and have everyone really focus him down with no effect. He doesn't do enough damage. Working towards finishing up a Radiance after whatever he's working next. Looks like a Vanguard first. And once that's up, perhaps he can start to have a bit more presence. The issue is, it doesn't feel like there's enough time to get that done. Adroit has been constantly applying that pressure. He might be on to Moon next. He does have Remnants.
Yeah, they won't have Black Hole available either, so they may not risk trying to go for the Ember kill. Fnatic gotta decide on something. Like, they're buying time, but for what? You haven't really got the most amazing late game presence. You look over to Natsumi on the Riki, he's got his defusal up pretty darn soon. In fact, I believe he has enough gold, and yeah, he'll buy it out right. Hook shot. They do find Jams once again. And Moon is sticking around, but again, they don't have the black hole. They won't be able to hold him down long enough, and Moon is suddenly on a cliff as he will just TP back to the mountain now.
DJ has not leveled up mines, so he's just planting a lot of proximity mines. He doesn't have the remote mine up and running.
In all fairness, at level 1, they are kind of crappy. Like, they're not really that good at level 1.
I would force some investments in the sentries, but stave off quicker.
With lane Matt, will jump in onto Savage. Spirit Vessel will be there from Bok. They will not continue the engagement. So there's plenty of tracks coming out from Eyesight Side. Still though, Riki Natsumi, he will jump in, and they do clear out Moon. With the smoke screen just holding him down. In fact, oh, that's a lot of mine damage coming out onto Mac. He's got to be careful about that. And Fnatic, it looks like they were trying to maybe make a bait play, but they really want that tier 1 tower. And they will continue to just throw bodies over and over again at the side of Adroit. It does get denied off, but they get what they wish for. The tower is down.
That should allow Fnatic to play a little bit more further forward, maybe invade that jungle if they really wanted to.
Hook shot. Found Savage. Spirit Vessel is there. Boomy. There is going to be a huge blast off, but it only adds to the kills going to the way of Adroit. And Boomy has Black Hole in 8 seconds.
Gonna have to give out this objective. They cannot defend that tier 1. And Fnatic are just steadily losing ground here. Losing net for it, losing ground. They haven't really maximized this bounty hunter as well. They haven't found too many track kills. They've only had 2 kills the entire of this game. 17 on the way of Adroit. Haven't really maximized any escalate here. They're gonna have to stall this game out a lot longer if they're looking at Savage to get bigger and for the farm to start trickling into.
But what is Savage gonna do later on a Bristleback? Like up against the Storm Spirit, even the Riki and Prophet, like what are you intending to do?
I think the main focus is to try to get just really big and be the focused central focal point for Adroit. Like he already is, and he's just kind of burning away. They just really need to start tanking him up. Hope that he reflects enough close space to get on the walk.
Huge hook shot coming in. 2-man cogs. DJ immediately being wiped off the base of the earth, and they will find Jams again. Savage trying to fight. A nice chains comes out from Moon. Bok is getting very close to dying, and Savage, he does manage to pick him up. You can't forget those are track kills, so these do mean a lot more now. Moon, he gets the chains off. Shuriken tosses is bouncing around. Boomy coming in for a black hole. He does find 2 of them. There's nothing to cancel it off, and with that, they will clear out the other 2. And so Adroit still end up winning out the team fight in the end. There is going to be a buyback coming up from the clock. And you know what, John? I say Adroit won, but the goal change does favor Fnatic.
I mean, they're so far behind, and a lot of those were track kills going their way, so a lot of that is stacking up onto Ice. Does have a good amount on him, should be finishing up his mech in a bit. It's like 600 gold away, which normally wouldn't be an issue. Have bled a lot of ground that I'm not sure if he's going to be able to find that 600 gold in a quick manner. Long either way. Gonna have a little bit more durability there on Fnatic's side, and did force out the black hole use. Don't have to worry about that in the upcoming fights. There is a blink on Boomy that the next time the black hole is up.
Hooks in by himself, just trying to save that outpost, but it was already taken. Still, they take Ice. I mean, Bok literally hooked into 5 of them by himself, and it just didn't matter. They still got a kill.
Fnatic is just not in position to take these fights. Even if the Clockwork just goes in by himself, there's just so much going on with the course of Adroit that Fnatic cannot match up with whatever they have right now.
We'll see a smoke coming out from Fnatic. What's the game plan? They've got a double damage on them. Okay. Plenty of damage. CML getting caught out. You don't have track available right now. You'd love Ice to get in range, and they're actually going to wait. They don't want to let this CML die. Now they will. I love how CML was actually running towards the Flame Guard, trying to get the death off before he gets tracked. It does not work out. Still, Adroit have maintained a 10k net worthly. They're looking very, very good.
Definitely. They've corrected a lot of the issues they had in game 1. They got more in this jungle. They haven't given any room to breathe for Savage. He's still trying to farm up, has changed his priorities towards a Lotus Orb, just for that added durability and a bit of a purge there. So once that's up, he can kind of stand in front a bit more, but his damage is still not going to be great. Radiance would have really helped out. The timing's way off for that. You really generally try to aim for a 20-minute Brad. It's just way too slow coming out from Fnatic.
The seeds are full.
Well, everyone else on Adroit is just farming great. Like, it's all fine and dandy on Adroit's side of things. In fact, they're farming even better than good. It's really, really darn great. As Fnatic smoke up. As for, they don't want to back off. They want to keep this aggression up. Mac will ball lightning away. He'll be fine. DJ continues to place mines as he goes.
Haste!
They are pinging out Boomy and CML. Ice does scout them out, and now the Rolling Thunder will come through. Who can actually go on? They actually got the Clockwork. Still, Bok is going to be completely fine, and now the Vortex in the back lines. That's DJ, he's gone. A double chains is there in the Roshan pit, but the side of Fnatic are starting to fall apart as the Black Hole comes out, but it only really catches jabs. Ice, can you survive this? Well, it's all about Savage right now, who continues to try and man-fight up against 5, but he's going to die, and with his death, the rest of Fnatic will go along with him. And that'll make it a 5-27, and we may as well have a look at Dota Plus's win probability right now, and it's currently sitting at 95% the way of Adroit.
There's a 5% chance for Fnatic here. We want to point out a couple of things. Adroit in that last fight, we saw Jabs getting the Rolling Thunder off onto Bok. He was trapped in the cogs, but got knocked out of the cogs by the Rolling Thunder. So fortunately, that can work against you. You can't permanently trap Bok working his own cogs. Did go out, and that did lead to him surviving. No one really dropping from Adroit Fnatic. Once again, all of your heroes for really nothing. At the least, you have DJ with the remote mines. He has a way of kind of stalling this game out if they lose their objectives and start to look at making this game unwinnable.
Well, DJ continues to place mines across the map. Got that going for him. You still do have Treants coming out from CML, and he's clearing out those remote mines. Or rather, the proximity mines. DJ will continue getting those mines down, though. He is not dissuaded by these Treants. What talent do you even go for on a techies at level 10? Like, do you just grab the -4 second cooldown on the proximity mines?
I think the cooldown is much more value. You're not going for battling techies. I mean, DJ has been around. I wouldn't consider that battling, not being very effective. Oh, Matt.
Just jumps in, grabs Moon on the Ember. Meanwhile, Bok, they are trying to grab him, but Bok will be fine. Now Mac jumping in after DJ, cleans that one up. He has found Savage, although that's a lot of damage from those proximity or remote mines. It isn't going to matter. They will survive it, and they will clear them out once again. Savage still trying to fight by himself. It's going to mean nothing. The only man to survive is Ice. He's trying to lead them into these into more mines. About to fall. He'll get the kill on the Clockwork, but he's going to give his own life away.
Oh. I mean, Fnatic is really behind. 6-32, 25.5 minutes in, 18k net worth deficit. This should allow Adroit to at least take this tier 2 mid and perhaps start looking around the map for more objectives. Looked at the Roshan. It hasn't been taken yet. It's still off. They could easily take. There are no mines from there. So this is probably the perfect time to take it before any sort of mining occurred.
Thunder. Jab's gonna connect with the storm. Moon, can you get the chains off? They do. Now the blast off is there with the silence, and it's not gonna be enough. Smoke screen from Natsumi. Mac will survive, and Mac will back off happily.
Here I am.
Just things not going according to plan for Fnatic. Adroit can be extremely chuffed at how this is going. They've got everything they could possibly ask for on their cores, on their supports. Pretty much cleared out the map. You're not seeing the impact of this techies just yet. They really don't feel threatened by any sort of potential from those mines.
So Mac, he's gonna find DJ. Takes him out. There's not much else to say about that. He just can zip in and claim the kill easily, as the Roshan has also been started. And Adroit with that Roshan may actually just be able to force high ground. Like, they've got a 20k advantage. It's getting to a ridiculous point now where I don't know if you're even afraid of mines anymore. Like, just pick up a gem.
Yeah, there's no ads on DJ, so it's really relatively safe to go up high ground. Not much to really worry about. Just use your minions to scout out. That's really it. 3 Aegis going the way of Adroit should allow them that high ground. Taking their time, playing it safe. Don't want to swing it back towards Fnatic.
Tower is under attack.
Even Bok is getting very close to having the full Ags up on the clockwork, and that's a real concern. That Ags is actually very, very powerful, that clock. Not that he really needs it, but it's going to be there very, very soon. We do see CML as well. He has poured out a gem. It is just on the courier. Mac, where are you off to? Goes straight off the moon with that Orchid. Just cleans him up. No contest, and they also have found Savage trying to push out the bot lane. He's a bit of a sitting duck. They have a defusal on Natsumi. He's still very tanky. Where's the Spirit Vessel? On Bok, and he's not around. Mac will come in. Looks like he has found Ice. Ice still managing to survive for now as Bok. Mac is starting to run out of mana, but eventually the bounty does die, and they continue back onto the Bristleback. You see the Rolling Thunder coming out from Jansen. Now the hookshot comes in from Bok, and with that, when Black Hole comes out from Boomy, he'll have the rest of the control, and I don't know how many times Fnatic's been team wiped now. It's been a lot. They seem to be having a great old time.
Yeah, DJ's just at base, planting his remote mines. Does not have the Ags, so the minefield sign is really not going to do to them. Jam is up and running on Adroit. They go for the lane without any mines as well. A fairly straightforward push here for the Dire.
Our first racks will go down. Unsurprisingly, might add. It's really nothing surprising going on, as Natsumi will threaten Ice's life a little bit, but back off. Just going to play it safe. Doesn't want to risk getting blown up if he can avoid it.
Whoa, what'd I miss?
There are a lot of remote mines in the mid and the top lane. Again, however, they are level 1 mines. The damage just isn't there.
He looks good, though I can't quite tell how many really.
The seeds of hope.
It's all about quantity, and if you have enough, even if they're all low damage, numbers will prove.
Sure, we'll see about that, John. You think by this point as well, like Dota would have had a counter for these mines? Didn't we have that in Dota 1? Like we could just kind of drag over them and see how many there were.
I don't recall that because I was like 10 when I was playing Techies in Dota 1, so I really can't remember all too well about how that was. Still, I want you to take a look at Dota Plus, Mike. Take a look at that win probability, 100% for Adroit.
Well,
Yet for some reason, we're still here. Why is that? I wonder if there's a hero that makes this happen.
oh, I don't know. I don't know anymore. If this match is anything to prove, like if a pro player can't make techies win a game, you shouldn't play it in your pubs, right? Just a nice little PSA. His third is going to go down. We do have a hook shot in the mid lane where jabs get blown up. And do the remote mites kill them off? Well, they do find at least the Aegis. Buybacks to fly out. Mac, that's one stun. That's a lot of damage on Boomy, but not quite enough. But they found a huge kill on the Storm, and now Boomy gonna get chased down. And they will find a secondary kill. Looks like they may even find the Clockwork block. Hook shot not connected. Moon still controlling Mum. Still Moon is gonna tie back on the Ember, but they do eventually find Bok on the Clockwork. I wonder how much gold they got out of that. Not really that much. 2k. You know, if this was prior to the 7.26 changes, you might have called that worth. But not so much anymore.
You're gonna need a lot more of that before you can see any reasonable swing. They do out as well. Natsumi just cleaning up. I want to make 1 point clear though. Fnatic has won with their techies before, so you know they've won a game. Pro players can make it work.
Shut up,
It's
John.
definitely
Just
not.
don't say that. You know, people are listening, John. Don't
Pick techies.
pretend they didn't
Fnatic
win.
works. Sometimes it doesn't, like in this case, but they've done it before. It's a 50-50 so far. Out of it yet, so this is a bit preemptive of me. Natsumi finds Ice.
CML will have the backup. Ice. No way out of this. CML, who has the gem in fact? It is going to be a Natsumi.
Just mining up the road.
Okay, I mean,
Classic.
fair enough. I mean, the Roche Pit's the one place you can actually get some decent mines off because the fog does make it so you can't actually clear out the mines whether you have a gem or not. So there is that. I mean, if Natsumi walks in, DJ is going to have to react rather quick once the status trap does blow up. He has queued up an Aetherlens into the Ags. I think once you get the Ags on the techies, I think he'd become much more viable.
Definitely.
I think that's when it's actually scary to go high ground. Until the Ags comes up, I think you're just not concerned at all.
No, that's exactly why Adroit's still feeling fairly confident. Like there's no Ags minefields, no sign to worry about. It's really just basically a non-factor. Don't need to put too much consideration into that high ground defense. They aren't quite ready for what though.
Back, jumps in on to the Pango, and Moon does get killed off by Natsumi. Savage, what are you doing out there? Apparently just having a nice old time. He's taking a fair bit of damage, but not quite enough to really mean anything. And Adroit now, do you push high ground? There are no mines, to be fair, so they do have the option to them. There are mines in the top lane, however. Adroit, they do have a gem. They will use the Eidolons and clear them out. Now, Natsumi will jump on DJ. DJ gonna die. There was a hook shot just in case. DJ will buy back. I guess the only thing DJ is gonna do is probably put the repair kit on the tower if he can get close enough, because Bok really is not allowing it. In fact, Bok does have the full Ags up on the clock. It can be a very, very dangerous clockwork. You get caught by his hook with the Ags. The hook shot, pop the Ags yet, just will take out Ice on the bounty. No buyback on him.
Radiant's middle
This will be the secondary racks and probably the third racks going down. It's like, do you call GG after mega creeps or do you keep defending?
Radiant's middle barracks are under attack. Radiant's top
I mean, there's no reason to stop your bird.
They are going to get the cogs off on 23 Savage. He is going to go down. He does have buyback. He will commit it. This will be the last team fight though. Black Hole straight away from Booby. He does not want to waste any more time. And Savage already losing half his HP. Mac jumping on top, gets the Vortex. That's going to be a dieback on Savage. It's a 2v5 situation. This game is sure to be over. There's the GG call being made at 36 minutes in.
Oh, man.
And there you have it, John. This is why you never pick techies, because you're gonna lose. So don't pick techies in your pumps. Don't do it. Don't make excuses.
It's a
for techies
50-50. Fnatic won with it before. You know what happened here? The DJ in his infinite wisdom was already preemptively mining the Roche pit, but Adroit did not have the
Fnatic's turn to ban.
Paul,
Dire team ban.
I guess I should ask you, Adroit, like they're still probably looking to be the underdogs going into Game 3. What do you think they need to focus on to pull off this victory?
They've just got to play their own game. We saw that to great success in game number 2. Just play by their own pace, continuously shut down Savage. That's really the key thing with Fnatic. The moment Savage falls behind a bit too much, it kind of falls apart. You saw it in game number 2. There was no recovery mechanism for Savage there. Just the entire map shut down way too fast. They couldn't quite get anything done with any of their heroes. Of course, perhaps for Fnatic's side, I hate to say this, but with that Enigma ban out, they banned the NP. I think they're going to go for the techies again if they do.
I would respect them so much if they did. I really would. No, I'm not joking. I mean, I really would. I really would. I would. Because, you know, the thing is, John, obviously, like, you win game 1. And we know game 2, you know, you joke around a bit. You know, it's a fun draft from Fnatic that came out. You know, they still played it as seriously as they possibly could. If they chose it again, I would completely respect. I really would. That shows that, you know, they actually believe that the hero. And I want to see it. I want to see it work.
I mean, they have won with it. Like, for real, though. They have won in the tournament very early on, so
I
did want to.
that.
They can do that. But I think with a Batrider ban out, it doesn't look likely. They would have to ban the NP simply because, again, the prox mines just couldn't do much. Their laning was kind of shot up. I think their Bristleback pick kind of tied into that as well. Like, you can't really expect too much from Bristleback without farm. For a lot of that game, Savage was fairly underfarmed. We'll see how Fnatic does shake it up. They do ban out the AA themselves, although there isn't any option for the Alchemist anyway. Perhaps there's a specific game plan they have in mind with regen heavy heroes. Maybe we're going to be seeing something like the Chen or the Oracle popping up once more. That's sustained in the fights they want. Go with something else.
Hey, I mean, look, the Chen is available, and we always say if the Chen's not banned, you probably should take it. They won't have the Alchemist to go with it. You don't necessarily need the Alchemist. And Fnatic, they're going to start off with the Void Spirit. Another very popular hero that, you know, has been in the meta ever since it really came out. Fnatic, they want to try and run this in this final game.
Yeah, I can't blame them. It's left open. All the Spirit Brothers were left open this time around. Pick for them, but Adroit, you know, we were talking about the Chen, straight into the Chen, back to the Ember Spirit as well. So we're more than likely going to be seeing the Void Spirit up against the Ember Spirit in the lane, unless Fnatic does something a bit funky. We have seen Storm Spirits picked up after the Void towards the end as well. It's a bit of a left field throw, which you could then transition to Void Spirit to the safe lane or elsewhere, perhaps a support role. That is an option for Fnatic, but so far looking promising for Adroit. Just overall very strong to have. Gives you great sustain. Presence, the Ember Spirit as well. It's just a very, very strong hero right now. It brings in solid laner, doesn't really lose out in any sort of exchange in any matchup, so it can always kind of find its timing just right. Can really give a lot for your team.
Fnatic's turn to ban.
Fnatic's second pickup, they do go into the Pugna. We've seen a lot of work happening with this Pugna pick over the past few series, and you can't really blame Fnatic for going back down that route, because it does also work quite well with the Void Spirit, John. Most of his damage is magic, and Pugna has Decrepify. The wave clear against the Chen, always going to be some very, very nice added value. I imagine that probably is going to be a DJ Pugna coming out.
More than likely. It's going to be in that support role. There's a lot of value in that hero there. He's still, you know, he doesn't take too much farm to be super successful. I think EXP is the key thing. And still pressure towers. Just natural kid. Still be a complete nuisance in these fights. This is going to make it hard for Adroit to find a great sort of right-click core if they're going to be looking for that on their safe lane. Pugna does put a big dent in that plan because it gets a lot harder when he has innate disarm, or it just makes your target un-right-clickable.
Dire team ban.
Fnatic, 5th ban out will be the Centaur. Not wanting to have to deal with that tanky offlaner. Especially when you want to just be able to burst down anybody that gets in away with this opening of the Void Spirit Pugna. Adroit, they will get rid of the Morphling, which makes enough sense. You've already got the Crepify there from the Pugna. You don't want to really add to it with an Adaptive Strike. Adroit, however, they liked what they saw from Bok, and they will go back into that Clockwork.
Can't blame Adroit for falling back to that hero. Bok had a fantastic showing with his clock. Can really bring a lot. We talk about it every single time. The clock and the Ember. You've got these heroes that can come from afar together really quickly onto a target. That much easier to get those
5 seconds remaining.
wide-reaching ganks off easily. So Adroit does set themselves up quite nicely for that kind of reach.
Dire team pick.
Fnatic, you go into the Snapfire pick now, another very, very powerful support to have, and of course now you've got the 2 new heroes in one draft. Both known to be, you know, somewhat overpowered. Has been a couple nerfs to both, but I'd still say they are very, very strong right now. And
10 seconds
Fnatic
remaining.
is looking very, very nice so far anyway. And you know what, John? The Mortimer's
5
Kisses
seconds remaining.
is against some really nice wave clear against Chen, right? Because in the middle of the team fight, you're trying to micro all these creeps around. You're trying to get as much efficiency out of them as possible. And with a Snapfire, she just spits fire at them, and suddenly they just start melting. It's not really rocket science. They don't last very long underneath those Mortimer's Kisses.
Definitely not. I don't think the wave clear is going to be a major factor for that snap, mainly because the Pugna already does a fantastic. They're really just getting it for more to pump into in these team fights. I would like to see something solid for their control. You're going to need something to keep everyone in a tight spot. The Mars is still available for Fnatic if they wanted to go that route. It does work really well with the Snapfire. Gives you great team fight. And, you know, the Void Spirit pretty much enjoy.
Oh, John, you've gone robotic on me,
That is
sir.
what we...
Hello again. Are you there, John? Have you disconnected?
No, I'm here. My internet... I have 400 ping.
Okay. Might need to change that server if you get a chance, John, as it looks like the issue may still be going on. While you're doing that, Adroit looking to make their 4th pickup now. Quite a bit of reserve time for this, but they have plenty left anyway, about 45 seconds. This next pickup should indicate whether this Clockwork is going to be a support or core clock. I do believe it should probably be the core again, but you never know. Now the Darkseer comes out, so arguably it is a support Clockwork, but we've seen the Darkseer being played as a support as well, so it's still very hard to tell. Other than that though, you've got a very potent combination between the two.
It's that classic run-at-your-face combination. The Clockwork Darkseer just kind of wins out any lane. Just battery assault in. You get the surge on. You get the you get the AoE
5
damage off.
seconds remaining.
Melt down anyone that Fnatic throws up in that lane. It's tough for them to maintain presence there. Adroit can be looking strong, looking aggressive for this game number 3 so far with their draft. Fnatic still has to really give us something to tie this draft together. Void Spirit, Pugna Snap, solid heroes on their own, but really something to tie up that team fight that Adroit will continuously try to bring.
Faceless Void.
There you go. That does it. That's great team fight right there. The Faceless Void comes out. Chronosphere is a massive spell that everyone's going to be benefiting from. Maybe not the Void Spirit. He's the one that probably won't. But you've got the Pugna, you've got the Blast there. You've got the Kisses coming out from the Snap. Faceless Void is going to ensure that all those spells land. He's going to have backup every single time he has that Chronosphere up. And Fnatic will have to play around these cooldowns. That's something we talk about every single time the Void's there. I think that's something this team definitely pull off. So they've set themselves up quite nicely to face up against what Adroit has. That should allow them to really keep a solid lock on that Ember Spirit. Talk about the Ember Spirit being slippery. They don't have the best stuns, but they do have a Chronosphere. They can always rely on that.
Very true. I guess the Void won't have too much of a tough time up against the Clock Darkseer combination as well, right? Because you can always time walk off the damage and get out of range of the battery assault if they do manage to make the jump. still going to be a little bit annoying because they're just going to continuously push the creep wave in that safe lane of Fnatic, but I guess there's not many pos ones that can deal with the aggression that these two bring out anyway. Void is probably one of the better ones to deal with this kind of lineup.
Fnatic's turn to pick.
Fnatic will get rid of the Riki as their final ban. They don't want to have to see that again, and you know, the Riki with the Darkseer as well could be very, very frustrating, as you have Invis and Iron Shell on at the same time, and you could just kind of ghost walk behind people, you know, be a ghost, just haunt them.
10 seconds remaining.
Potent combo. Really old school combo with that one.
5
Yeah.
You don't
seconds
tend to see it
remaining.
too often nowadays. Possibility is taken away by Fnatic, unfortunately. No fun for us
No.
seeing that. It's kind of counteracted by one item, and well, Riki doesn't have Invis in the lane anymore, so it will take a while for that specific thing to happen.
Well, Fnatic, let's pick up for them. 30 seconds of reserve time left. Plenty of time to pick up techies, John. 20 seconds, in fact, to press that techies button if you do want it.
No. No.
No? Okay.
Not with this
Fnatic,
lineup.
how are you going to finish this one off? Imagine Adroit picked up techies. That would be hilarious. Fnatic, they will go for the DJ Nyx Assassin, so core Pugna is what we're seeing here, I believe.
Yeah, I think that's pretty solid for Fnatic. Core Pugna, I mean, he's a hero that doesn't need a farm, but he can enjoy it. He scales quite nicely with the early item pickups. A lot of ways to really itemize on that Pugna. I think the Ags Rush still works out quite nicely, just having that drain really available to you nearly every single time is going to give a lot more towards Fnatic as well, in terms of sustain. So, Core Pugna can work quite well. I can see Ice just being that hero. Adroit can be to see what they do pick up last, something that will kind of just farm okay. You don't want to fall too far behind. You have to play around the tempo. Fnatic, be cautious of that Void. They do fall back to that PA. That's a hero we have seen once before in a different league, and the performance was certainly... But this is a comfort pick for Adroit. Natsumi has played a lot of PA we have seen before. So I guess they just wanted to go with something they know to close us out here. Last game.
I think so, John. Like, you've chosen PA into a Void and a Pugna. Like, Pugna just decrypts. So you've got control there, and your face is Void. I mean, the evasion can be a little bit annoying for the Void, but overall, Chrono is pretty good up against that PA. She really has nothing to do about it. I just feel like with the Pugna there, though, she's just going to get decrypified constantly.
I think what Adroit is trying to go for here is reliance on Mac and Boomy. So you got these two heroes that can reach into that backline, burst down these heroes first, have the PA come in and clean it up afterwards, really set the pace here. I think that's what Fnatic would be looking for. Of course, there's also the possibility as the game goes on, Natsumi can just blink in, immediately get one hit off and crit out Ice. Not a very tanky hero, that Pugna. Certainly a possibility. You mentioned there are windows of vulnerability there for Adroit. It's certainly something that Fnatic is very aware of. So how much value they get from their PA last pick, it's up in the air. I wouldn't say it's the best game for the PA, but it is something that Adroit does fall back to, so be comfy with running.
Well, we'll get into a game number 3, the final game of the night. Fnatic to try and close this out and remain undefeated of series if they can. Adroit would love to take this third game off them. They have the draft to do it, but it's definitely not going to be an easy task. You know, looking back at that game number 2, even considering the draft that Fnatic was running, like, you just... 23 Savage on the Bristleback, he was constantly at the top of the net worth for the first 20 minutes of the game. Like, and that was impressive considering how much they were throwing their bodies at the side of Adroit.
Yeah, it was a lot of investment, but Savage does always tend to find that farm. On the Void, of course, it's not as naturally fast in clearing those waves out, not like a bristleback. So if he is contested, it is going to be a bit harder. Doesn't have any way of clearing out those camps fast like a Alchemist would as well. He has high mobility, so at the very least he can travel through that jungle quite fast. Certainly wouldn't want to start off too far behind in this kind of lineup. Not against what Adroit has. They're going to be online fast. You have to kind of keep pace there with your Chronosphere.
Okay. Well, Adroit look to loop around very early on, and looks like they're going to go for the creep block on the Radiant side creeps. Savage, I don't know if he's going to be able to do much about this. In fact, they're just going to maybe creep skip straight off the bat. They've got the Iron Shells out. Double Iron Shell. Block it up. Clear it out. By the time it gets to the tier 1 tower, it's definitely dead. And you've even got CML there on the Chen, just in case they need the help. And well, this is really going to force Savage to just have to farm underneath that tier 1 tower. And if you Iron Shells on those creeps underneath that tier 1, it can make it very hard for the Void.
Definitely. It does really hurt the Void, especially when he goes for level 1 time lock. Not going to have a way of putting that damage off with the time walk. Still, Savage not going to be too upset. Clearing out this creep wave just fine. Yeah.
Well, with a player like Savage, it's not like he's going to really suffer underneath the tier 1. Like, he is going to farm just fine. It is quite literally his job to hit creeps and get gold. He does a very good job of it. So, in actuality, we have seen this a couple times with Darkseers skipping like this, Darkseers skipping creeps like this. Sometimes you end up giving more gold away to the opposing pos one, and Savage still hasn't missed a creep. He's A-OK. He's perfectly fine. They're gonna go into Jabs. Jabs is really the one who's gonna suffer on the Snapfire. Boomy will get a Scatter Blast to the face. Savage will continue on the farming escapades, and I suppose this is the point where we probably should have a look at the other lanes, because both the Darkseer and the Void are just going to freely be farming up. So mid lane Mac up against Moon. Two Spirits once again in this mid lane, however this time it's not going to be a Storm but rather a Void Spirit.
It's a much better start for Moon as well. Solidly ahead of Mac. Take wall for the Embers. Start applying its own pressure quite nicely.
Jabs, the very long-range Scatter Blast, just barely connecting to Boomy, just on the backside of it. That'll be first blood, go to the way of Fnatic. And, well, I suppose you kind of slowed down the farm of Savage a little bit. I believe he missed a creep or two there by going after that clock a little bit, but still perfectly fine.
Not under any pressure. The main thing Adroit is aiming for with this lane is to find solid farm for their Darkseer, which they certainly are. 24 last hits on him just by those Iron Shells. They have access to the jungle, much freer access than Savage does have. Brock is just really maximizing his farm here.
Of course, you can have a look up to that top lane as well, where you'll see Ice on the Pugna. He'll be up against CML and Natsumi on the PA, and DJ will also be there on the Nyx Assassin. Not really too much Natsumi can do to force Ice out. Are both at very low levels anyway. DJ gonna try and harass out the Chen a little bit, but CML will be perfectly fine with it all.
Still the last hit in the big creep.
Nice.
So, just small victories like that going the way of Fnatic. Of course, Natsumi's not having too hard of a time up here top. Definitely not the free farm you're seeing down, but is completely ahead of Ice just by a small margin. Are having some issues with the Pugna in this lane.
Certainly are. Boomy gonna rotate around Jabs. Scatter Blast, Mac gonna rotate in as well. Jabs could be in huge trouble here. You do have that Iron Shell on Boomy as well. I believe that is a level 2 Iron Shell, and yeah, it is. But the cookie does allow Jabs to just get out of this. Fortunately for him, the Surge does not. They will close the gap again. Now with the Cogs, Jabs should certainly just die, but They ran out of Iron Shell. And Boomy just didn't have any more DPS, and Jabs will surprisingly get out safely.
It's a lot of time expended there from both sides, really. I think Boomy's not going to be too happy with that. He could just be soaking some EXP. They have stopped the creep cutting, so they're just shoving the wave out normally now.
I mean, Savage is at 32-0. Like, I think they kind of realized that the creep skipping, while it gave them a nice head start, didn't really do much else, and it kind of helped the Void.
No pressure. He's not being hit by the Iron Shell. He goes back again. He's going to have level 6 at a pretty good time. He's going to have really solid farm for himself. The key thing for Fnatic is once more to play around that early Chronosphere.
Well, mid lane Jabs does end up going down. Boomy is there, and it actually goes to Mac and Bok, who had the DPS out before Boomy even got there. So it'll be a 1-1 so far between these two teams. Very slow start, as both teams are just more than happy to secure some farm. No real rush. It's just all about trying to get the little wins in these lanes. Nice. Gonna get jumped here by Natsumi, but does have Decrepify. And that's all that's required. CML doesn't really have any spells he can throw out to really dish out some damage. And bot lane, Chrono will be committed by 23 Savage. They are going to end up finding Bok on the Darkseer.
First Chrono of the game being put to great use by Fnatic, finding themselves a nice easy kill. And once more, that is giving Savage a fairly free start. I mean, you could say the same for Bok. Free farm on Darkseer just doesn't sound as terrifying as free farm on Fist.
Your anger is useless.
Now Mac does actually end up going down to Moon. Of course, Moon hitting that power spike. Now level 7 on the Void Spirit and making full use of it. In fact, he's really dominated this mid lane. Unfortunately for the Ember, he's only sitting at level 5, just about to hit that level 6 mark. But Moon just perfectly times his rotation. Gets him before he hits that level 6. The bot lane, Jabs gonna fall low, but Bok is falling even lower, and Bok will die again. Now Moon rotate, go after Boomy, and this should be an almost guaranteed kill as the Remnant will end up connecting. And that'll be a 5-1. 7 minutes in, this draft from Fnatic is really starting to come out online.
Very clinical way of playing it as well from Fnatic. Not overextending, they're just playing it calm, playing it smooth. They haven't even gotten any out from top, so those supports have been kind of stuck in place. DJ did dip the bot lane earlier on, but just that once. And overall, Fnatic is very happy with the state of game. They've got all the farm they want on their course this time around. Adroit, sure, they got free farm on Bok, but he's died twice now, so some of that is kind of taken away. And that mid lane matchup just has not worked out too well for Mac.
Oh, Moon still trying to bully Mac in the mid lane. Mac will survive, but does lose a lot of HP. Of course, with this Void Spirit, you can just keep being aggressive.
Oh, Bok.
Oh, bot lane, Bok!
I can't bear to look.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I don't really think he can really keep coming back to this lane any longer. It just... Well, there's 4 heroes down here now. If Bok was still around, it's 3 with Bok missing, but Adroit appear to want to try and set up on that bot tier 1 tower and try to slow down 23 Savage.
Dire's top tower is
Problem
Just
is,
doesn't feel
you're gonna have
doesn't feel
Chrono
fast
in
enough.
10 seconds.
Yeah, you're gonna have that team fight available for Fnatic. They're gonna have the tools available for that. They're gonna commit the TPs to find these kills. Not sure how you really play this one.
Oh, Boomy, he runs into the Aether Remnant. That's an easy
Bok
kill.
got called in.
has been killed. Dire's top
That-
tower is under attack.
Savage, do you want a Chrono? Remnants forward, they jump, they do find Jabs. Savage, he's just mad fighting for now as Moon does join in. The nice time walk to take all that damage off, and he's still waiting for the Chrono and now gets it. He only found 2, however. He does not get the main target, which was Mac, and Adroit do manage to find a very, very important kill onto Moon.
Definitely a big target for them to take. They also managed to bait out that Chrono Savage, not managing to make that second Chrono count, but they do just swap out the lane. goes up top onto Ice, taking over top, getting himself free farm, and Ice just goes back to this. So Savage going to be switching out now. They are going to be sacrificing this tier 1 bot for that tier 1 top, but I don't think Fnatic is going to be minding too much. And Adroit is just going to try to find a lot more. They need to keep hunting down Savage and Moon, pressure Moon to really tough spots where he has to commit everything he has, and punish him. I think that's really going to be the state of the game, and also hunt down Savage without the chrono. Now, this is the perfect time to try to find where that Void is and take him out once more.
Absolutely, you got to make the play now. Still not really going to be easy though. You don't have the greatest lockdown. Like, you don't even have hookshot ready on Boomy yet, but he does have a tomb coming out. But perhaps once the tomb comes out, he tries to make that gank happen with the level 6. Just don't think the Ember Chains is going to be enough, and yeah, he's only at level 1 anyway. Wall to be dropped, bot. Casually dropped the wall. I mean, that's really all that's going to happen up the top lane. Like, it's just a casual wall.
Yeah, they're not committing for any sort of move onto Savage. He only has a minute left on his cooldown. He has BJ around as well. Want to get something
don't
done.
run through the wall. You might reveal you're invisible. He gets very close. Moon is also going to rotate. It looks like they just want to pick on Bok. Really shut down this Darks here in Bok. There's a Spy Carapace coming out. DJ does miss the Impale, however. And immediately goes to the TP up. Bok, hookshot, going to be there from Boomy. They want to at least secure the Nyx Assassin, and they do. A bit unfortunate that they missed the Impale. However, you still have Moon and Savage there, and they easily clean him up anyway. So Fnatic won't really be too upset. In fact, they found Natsumi down from bot lane. Natsumi will jump in after jabs, but Moon is there, and he has so much magic damage. You have to be very careful if you are Natsumi, who's now going to try and make a run for it, but the Mortimer's Kisses, they are flying out. One will connect, and it will only be one at the end, but the 8th Remnant from Moon is just perfect.
Icing out a different kind.
That one lead does increase to 2k.
Drop some really key heroes there. They lose out in Bok again, and they lose. That trade does favor Fnatic in the end. You have to remember, Savage, he has his Chronosphere now. He's ready to go if they want to force another fight out. Sure, they expanded the Mortimer Kisses early, but I reckon they don't actually need it with the state of the game right now. They just need to land a Chrono on a big spot, make sure Moon kind of drops everyone low beforehand, and have, I suppose, Ice around with the Nether Blast ready. Get additional damage in that Chrono.
Well, he does have the full diffusal on the courier, so Savage is definitely going to have some damage output now within that Chrono, and there it is. That is a very quick diffusal. Hookshot mid lane. He's going to be onto Ice. He needs to Crepify, does go for the line frame, but the stun from the battery assault will cancel that off. Though Savage, he gets a 3-man Chrono and now goes straight after Boomy on that clock. Can he find more? They want to go after Maka. Very nice cookie coming up from Jabs, just holding him down through the Remnant. And Adroit, they find one, but they might lose even more than 2, as now the 8th Remnant from Moon will latch on to CML. CML just a sitting duck now to the Astral Step, and now Spy Carapace coming up from DJ. They won't follow up on the Darks here, but
This one was
Fnatic, they're taking just clean engagements, just over and over again.
Definitely finding all the kills they want, always getting the cores they aim for, forcing out spell usages from Adroit. Wall isn't a particularly... It's still a cooldown you have to track, and ooh, Mac, he just comes back in.
It's definitely not advised. It's a bit of a scary lineup to go into right now. They did want to protect that T1 mid, but they don't have the chance. Still Boomy gonna get caught out now in the dire side jungle. Does get the hook shot off, but it is blocked by the Nyx Assassin. Still there is going to be backup now. Savage, he needs to run as DJ does go down. TP's coming in as the Radiant side do control the outpost in the Dire jungle. Natsumi continues to jump forward, but here comes the Mortimer's kisses from Jam.
man.
And Savage is just mad fighting. No crits coming out for Natsumi. It finally happens, but it doesn't matter. Savage, he's just the manliest of men. Mac will finally take down the kill. Jabs, he wants to continue the chase. Scatter Blast available now. It's not enough. The heal comes out from the chat as well. Mac barely survives. Meanwhile, in the back, however, Moon will punish CML for his insolence. At least they found the void. Boomy, you really don't want to... What a cookie coming out of the DJ. Just pushes him into the cons. Jabs that wasn't nice.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Oh god, just giving him a bit of a zap. Bugs don't enjoy that.
No.
I think that's it. A solid set of trades for Fnatic. At the very least, Adroit did manage to find Hill onto that Pace's Void, so they do manage to clean out Savage. Managed to finally get the biggest target out there. Doesn't swing too much. They had to drop Natsumi on top of that. Not the best result of that trade. Would have rather had Natsumi live to see that kill. So you're not gaining as much as you'd expect because of the lack of your pause one there.
Oh, hook shot. Boomy, very nice casting off that TP. He had the vision from the rocket flare, and it was a very instantaneous kind of hook shot coming out from the cock. Nice little kill going over to Bok on the Darkseer. I gotta tell you though, like the state of Adroit still concerns me quite a lot for their sake. Like you look at Natsumi, does he have the Deso coming out? It looks like he does. So he does get the Deso out around that 16-minute mark. Not too bad. It does kind of feel like he desperately will need that BKB up as soon as possible because Fnatic, they're just kind of running over him with Moon's Void Spirit. In fact, DJ is going to be there. He gets an Impale off. And Natsumi, I Blink Strike. Moon didn't have a follow-up Astral Step, so Natsumi will manage to dance his way out of there. But that's kind of why he needs the BKB, because that can just continue to happen. If you have one extra hero there, Natsumi is almost certainly just dead.
Definitely. On top of that, he doesn't get that BKB in time. Decrep is always going to be a massive issue from Ice. Dropping it onto that PA means that the damage just can't go out. Even if you could survive through the burst, you're really just standing there and not contributing at all.
Fnatic, they're going to smoke up and make their way up top. No Vendetta available on DJ. I think it's 25 seconds for that, but they do have Chrono, which is, you know, arguably a lot better. And so they'll go for the tier 2 top tower push.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
You know, usually with the Chen lineup, you'd expect the Chen to be the one pushing very, very quickly. Fnatic are proving that that doesn't always have to be the case, as they will go for a direct trade here with Adroit.
Dire's top tower has fallen.
But I'm sure Savage wants to commit the Chrono. So I'm wondering where he does make that happen. And in fact, it may be cutting off Mac here on the Ember. But no, he will go back to farming the jungle. And you know, generally this isn't advised, John, but you gotta love the build coming out from Savage. He's going into a Manta, and straight after that, he has an MKB queued up.
It is a PA game, right? Like, you're always going to be wanting to build into that MKB as fast as possible to mitigate that durability the PA has from her blur. Want to take away that passive from that hero. Definitely necessary. Not the most common early pickup on the Faceless Void, of course, in a situation like this, or if the Butterfly should give a lot more to Savage to play with still. That Chrono cooldown, we've talked about that for a bit. Doesn't look like Fnatic is really pressured to start these fights. Adroit that kinda looks like they're pushed it back behind trying to offs.
23 Savage. Continue to force out this top wave. The rest of Adroit just taking over the Radiant side jungle. That's the really the only safe space for them. As Mac is actually going to TP top to try and defend up against this push from Savage. Because you still have the Chrono, and they're definitely looking for an opportunity to use it. So Fnatic, they'll smoke up again, looking to try and start a team fight, and CML, well, he'll be a very, very easy target. Absolutely no problem for Moon. In fact, they have found all the creeps, and that's going to be a fair bit of gold. Going to the way of Moon, who claims all those centaurs, and he wants more. He's not done. That Hell Bear, a very lucky bear to get away, and stunned up, out of position. How did he get there?
A hook shot though.
Okay, they find Ice, but you lost your Ember Spirit, and I'm not quite sure how he got to that specific location.
Remnanted in. I think his only remnant was way at the back from their last rotation in that jungle. He goes back in, doesn't have a way to go back out, and gets caught out.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Well, Bannerons will spawn up. A 2-for-2 trade, it seems. Both top Bannerons will go to the way of Fnatic. Savage wants to go for a Roshan. You can't blame him for that. But he has the full banner up. I don't need to say again he has the Chrono up, because he still does. Adroit, whether they team fight and try to counter this Roshan attempt is a completely different story. I don't think they're able to do this. And, well, they don't really need to anyway. Fnatic, they leave the Roshan pit. They're not interested.
Got rocket flared out and didn't want to force the fight. They just opt to pull back. Probably waiting for perhaps the kisses to be back up. Or they're confident there, either way. Not commit for that, and does give Adroit a bit of an opportunity to try to go hunting themselves. But they're under wards.
They are. Boomy. Let's get the cogs off. That is onto a Void Spirit. You can always just do that. Well, Chrono will be there from Savage. Who do you want? Of course you want Mac on the Ember. They blow him up, and now an amazing cookie from Jabs off the 3. Natsumi just melting. The Mortal Kiss is already flying to where he blink strikes out. Hookshot will cancel those kisses off, but Natsumi's got nowhere left to go. He will die. And meanwhile, Jabs is still perfectly alive. He's chasing Boomy now on the clock. Moon is cutting through the mid lane, trying to find the clockwork as well. Maybe instead of all that, you just go for a T3 push, and Fnatic intends to do so apparently.
There's really nothing to stop them, right? You've got that Desolator on the PA, sure, the damage is great. She doesn't have the BKB up, not ready to just jump in and sacrifice like that. They did expend the wall, they expended the Hand of God as well. So this is just going to be a really straightforward push for Fnatic.
Especially with that Solar Crest from Moon. Savage really does siege quite quickly. They will only take the range creep. Most of Adroit has respawned. They won't have Chrono, so they won't risk anything. But with the 10k net worth lead at 22 minutes in, and at least one range rax, they are looking great. You know, we may as well have a look at the win probability for Fnatic right now. You get 81%. So Dota Plus hasn't really ruled out the side of Adroit quite yet. It is only one rax down, but it is looking very nice for Fnatic.
Definitely is. They've managed to pretty much get all the objectives they want, hit all their timings, they've slowed down Adroit. We haven't really seen that Chen be a major factor in pushes. Even in the sustain, it just hasn't felt like it's been enough coming out from CML. Or, I believe, flying out. That BKB on Natsumi does pick it up, so a massive power spike for Adroit. They want to reveal it in a big way. Can they find the right targets?
Smoke gonna be there. They've got the BKB up. They really want to make use of this, but it's still gonna be a hard team fight. Nonetheless, they have 30 seconds without the Chrono. That's when this 10-second charge needs to be used. They do get out the Roshan. This could be a big team fight for Adroit. Wall will be dropped. Fnatic, do you stick around? Not quite. They want to back out of there. Adroit still looking to make their way into this as DJ will disconnect. That is some awkward timing, but at least he is in the Vendetta. I don't believe he's been scouted out. the reconnection will be quite quick anyway. Do Adroit find anybody, John? There's 9 seconds left for Chrono.
They've kind of missed a window. That wall was way preemptive.
It's a bit early. DJ, nice spike carapace, and a 3-man impale. Now the Mortimer's kisses to fly in. Where is the Void? Not there quite yet. He's just hanging in the back line, waiting for the perfect opportunity. Now 23 Savage does start going after some chain creations. Natsumi will blink in with his BKB, but Decrepify is there, and Jabs will not die as Savage does get jumped on, but Natsumi thinks better of it, and Adroit just needs to back.
Rather surprised Fnatic.
Yes?
Fnatic didn't go in for the Chrono. Like, they didn't counterfight there, but they still managed to go into the Roche, and that's not going to be contested by Adroit now.
Well, that's the beauty of not using the Chrono, right? Like, you don't use it, you waste their 10-second BKB charge, and you get Roshan anyway. Like, this is the problem we had in the drafting phase, where it's like you chose P8 to plug and avoid. And even with the BKB, you just decrepify your teammates. Unless the plugin is dead, you're not going to be able to do anything.
Not enough from Natsumi. They really need to prioritize finding Ice. They did try. Person down. Or staffed out. They didn't have the control. And Ice just lives on to be a nuisance to this P8.
Certainly does. And now Yule's going to be there on to Boomy. The clock really has no way out of this. He could try for the hook shot, but who are you hook shotting? He uses it, but Moon and Ice had enough damage. Really unfortunate as that hook shot was just about to latch onto the Chen.
Just painful all around for Adroit. They are going to have to drop this tier 2. Can look for a high ground defense. They do have the wall up and ready to go from Bach. They haven't really seen it to great effect just yet. Haven't seen the biggest drops, and with the Vac on top of that, they fucked up because they rely on that for these teams.
Top barracks are under attack. Radiant structures
Moon.
are fortified.
Chained up. Nobody really cares too much. Wall will be dropped, but the Rax is already basically gone. They will slow things down a little bit. In fact, Savage is falling low, but he does have Aegis. He has the line train there from Ice. More importantly, it looks like they're just going to wait out the Roshan. The siege creep will get it done anyway. The Rax will go down.
Like that, Fnatic pull back safely. Not under any pressure to find any more objectives on the map. Just go back to farming. Go up. More than likely just going to wait for Savage to finish up his own BKB. It's not too far off. I believe he's about 100 gold now. Completely buy it out, and once that's up and running, Fnatic will be pretty much set to just take any fight they want.
Feels like they're pretty much set to take any fight they want right now. It's, oh, and a Paladin Sword as well. Are you kidding me?
Oh.
So Savage not only gets his BKB up, but he gets arguably the most broken item in terms of neutral items, and now he finds Boomy. Cox is going to push him back, but a nice cookie will actually drop him down the cliff. Savage should be able to still cut Boomy off, but doesn't really want it to be Chrono, but Moon. He's just on point with his 800s, but now we're back. We'll save for now. Boomy does go down regardless. It doesn't.
That was probably the best back we've seen this entire game from Bach. Decides to do that without the wall on top. I really want to see that combo go off. It's a big part of Adroit's draft, and there, it's just not shining true because they can't get the proper combo off. Ideally, you get the wall drop, that wall in, hook shot in, cogs them in on that wall area, and just whack away with your Ember's Spirit PA. Unable to get that combination off. Fnatic managed to clear out all the towers from Adroit now. Nothing left outside their base. Adroit is going to be forced back a lot more than they were.
There's the wall being dropped again, but you won't see that back wall combination. It's just trying to delay the inevitable, it feels. As Savage, he's just going to get delayed. these preemptive wall drops just haven't been paying off at all.
Definitely. I can kind of get the mindset, but they're really not going to be winning out by doing this any further.
Savage will just continue to time walk off any kind of damage they throw at him. And, has Aegis, has BKB, he'll pipe up the racks. There's no real magic damage going out on the racks anyway. It's a slow siege, but it'll get there. It's very clear Adroit are the ones that actually need to start the team fight. And Natsumi, he goes. He found Ice. Now that's a good start. Adroit, they could capitalize off this. There is no buyback available on Ice, but Savage looking for the chrono. There's the vac. Natsumi, he's down a half HP. Instead, they do turn around to Bok, but Savage, he cops a lot of damage from that dagger crit. But he will time walk it off. And now the use from Moon. Adroit locks him in and Bok is dead. The buyback is immediate. Savage is still holding on to that chrono. Aegis does expire before the chrono is used, although they do find Boomy now. Boomy is a very easy target. Does buy back again immediately as well. Fnatic just really, ouch, taking this quite surgically. Savage almost ties to the crit, but what a chrono coming out. There's the 3-man. Where's the follow-up? It's not quite there, but they do get back on the Ember. He does not have buyback, and everyone is just starting to fall very, very low on Adroit. As Savage going after Bok again, they just really don't like this Darkseer. Now Natsumi also being controlled up, but at least they do find the snap by and kill Bok. Still surviving as the hook shot is there from Boomy. Savage. Can you find it? Not quite. He does get to the fountain in time, but instead you look for the dieback on the clockwork, and Boomy will survive. Savage just not feeling as confident without that Aegis. Everyone is basically being healed up by Ice anyway, so they can reset that way, but also if they don't want to risk anything, they got the melee barracks, they're just going to back off for a bit, try to reset and maybe come back in a little bit later.
They've almost finished up what looks to be that wall onto Savage, lacking one part. I believe the Demon Edge left for him. So once that's up and running, they're going to have a lot more confidence going into these fights. Again, they already have every single tool, but we did see moments where Savage just couldn't get the backup. They didn't have the kisses up and running when the Chronosphere was dropped, so they kind of lacked out in damage. There were moments where Adroit could just easily come off. They are still holding out here, right? Like they still have one of their mid racks up. They still have their bot racks up.
Bok really doesn't want to die like this, but it's a die back. Moon just on the Void Spirit, just so effective. The real monster in this game. And I suppose this might be the point where they'll go high ground again. You still won't have Chrono for another 45 seconds, but something tells me he doesn't really need it.
He has the MKB. He can really just get all the damage out. PA could jump in, doesn't really care, can man fight back, get that damage on.
You've got an Aether Lens now on ISS as well, so he has plenty of range at CML. Just getting bashed to death. He pops the mech, but it does nothing. Savage just going to go into the tier 3 now. A 21k net worth lead for Fnatic. Boomy do not go in there, so it is very, very dangerous right now. It looks like Boomy is going to end up dying back. As a nice bash is there on Savage. Can they crit him out? Not quite. Ice will just passively heal him up again. Pops his own Aeon Disc. Now Matt, he's going to pray not to get bashed. He'll Remnant, but he uses all of them to try and just get out. And CML, he just fought back on the Chen. And this game is basically officially over. It's now the Fountain Dive from Savage. Savage, you aren't that tanky, but he may just be tanky enough to find Bok. And it looks like they want the full team wipe. It's now the PA getting caught out. It's a rampage for Savage. And what a way that'll be to finish off the night. Savage will finish off in style. And Fnatic, that was a very, very dominant victory.
Definitely. It was not as dominant as game one, I want to say, but still very strong showing from Fnatic. Adroit, they had a couple of moments where they shot